through the area. That means showers off and on throughout your day. Now, if you're headed out in the next few minutes, temps right now are in the upper 30s to low 40s out there. We have mostly cloudy skies, winds out of the south at 10 to 20 with a few gusts up to 25 and storms on radar. This afternoon, that core will continue to push through the region. That means mostly cloudy skies dominate. Showers off and on throughout the day, as well as the possibility of a few isolated thunderstorms into the afternoon as we start to warm up. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s out there. Winds will stay south at 10 to 15 with a few gusts up to 20. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day, and by the weekend, sunny skies and warm temps.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene-Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
This winter, we received more rainfall than in the past 75 years. Severe weather can cause damage to your home's foundation. Ramjack can fix that. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com.
CCB 146906.
I'm not a bodybuilder.
I am not an athlete.
I'm not into health clubs.
I do not eat junk food.
I am not a young man anymore.
I am exercising daily. I am feeling great. I am loving life.
I am Max Muscle. Max Muscle Sports Nutrition, Franklin Boulevard, Eugene.
Good news, sleep apnea sufferers. You're finally free to sleep comfortably anywhere you travel, even while flying, thanks to Transcend, the world's first portable mini CPAP device. And here's even better news. Right now, you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for a full 10 days. Just call minicpap.com, 1-800-700-7670. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend Mini CPAP is as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound, giving you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. Transcend is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. So free yourself from your big, bulky CPAP device and start enjoying the freedom to sleep anytime, anywhere you go. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day in-home trial. 1-800-700-7670. That's 1-800-700-7670.
Hi, I'm Carl Deichler, the CEO of Beachbody, and I'm here to tell you about an amazing new way you can start losing weight for free right now. You've probably seen our workout DVDs on TV like P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix. We just launched a beta trial of our new digital video platform, Beachbody On Demand. So while we're testing out this new digital video service, I'm inviting you to use it for free for 30 days. That means you can lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, even 30 pounds without paying a dime. Text the word SHAPE to 313131 and you can do 30 days of P90X, Insanity, or any of over 400 workouts for free. Now here's the catch. In return, all I ask is you let us know what you think of the service so we can make Beachbody On Demand the best fitness and weight loss site ever created. Just text SHAPE to 313131 and get started for free right now. Again, text SHAPE to 313131.
Message and data rates may apply. Membership fees apply after 30-day trial. Cancel anytime.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
The latest snapshot of jobless claims that shows the number of Americans filing applications for unemployment benefits unexpectedly fell last week by 13,000 to 253,000, the lowest level since 1973. Our cost of living is rising, but the March gain was less than estimated. The core consumer price index increased 0.1%, the smallest gain since August. At a year-over-year rate, core prices that exclude food and fuel were up by 2.2%. U.S. stock futures are mostly little change to mixed. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and BlackRock are all edging lower after saying first quarter profit declined, but Delta Airlines is going the other way. Shares are up about 2% after the carrier beat estimates in the latest quarter. Crude oil is higher, up about 0.7%, just over $42 a barrel now. The International Energy Agency says global oil markets will move close to balance in the second half of the year. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
If you can't write poetry and write love notes to your mattress, maybe it's time for a new mattress. The interest-free for 3 event is going on right now. We talk about that. You talk about a lot of the deals and a lot of the money that you can save. I think you can't really put an amount of money on the whole idea, because I have moved several times in a career, and having to move and deal with a mattress is cumbersome. So I think that the whole idea that you don't even have to touch the old lumpy thing, you can maybe, salute it and maybe give it a hug and embrace, but that's about it. You can pretty much kick back, sip your iced tea, and just kind of point where you want the new bed. And that brings up the point, how do you find the new bed? Well, you go and take a test lay. You figure out, okay, maybe over a couple of visits, I'm going to find the bed that is right for me. It's not anything that you want to rush into. And the great thing about it, with the folks at Sleep Train, they're not going to rush you. They are low pro, low maintenance, because that's what you want. And that's what you get at Sleep Train today.
So head on in. They're in Corvallis, Albany, Eugene, and Springfield. And when you get there, when you walk through the door, tell them Bill and Rob from the Wake Up Call sent you. And they'll go, who?
You'll find us at home, at work, in the car. This is the Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
I was hoping you were going to talk about the story about the Onion. The commission launching a $75,000 campaign. Tips for setting up a campsite. Basically the Onion staffers. I don't know if that was part of it. It was probably part of the $75,000 to have some of the Onion staffers, kind of get creative and bring the hilarity to the Onion about our state. I don't think you have to go that far to find people that maybe are in this state or connected to, maybe get some people with Cover Oregon or some of the many different campaigns that have been laughable, expensive, yeah, albeit expensive, but kind of in their own comedic flavor. Those are the people that we should be, and maybe they should just do it for work release.
Well, maybe that should be the new slogan for Oregon. We'll pay more. Money is no object. In Oregon, money is no object. Heck no. We'll blow it on anything. It's kind of like Oregon government's sort of like the drunk guy at the casino at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, here's another 400. Let it roll. Let it roll, baby. Yeah. Oh, God. All right. I got another 100. Here, $100. This is the way that Oregon government kind of works. They're just like they're all liquored up. They're drinking their Cardinal Mendoza brandy and just throwing the dice. What? You not heard of Cardinal Mendoza brandy?
I was going to go, a different brand, different route.
What? Hood River vodka?
Little MD. Little.
Oh no! Come
BF.
on, we're talking about. Oregon,
that's right.
Oregon's legislators. They're not drinking.
They're not going to go cheap stuff.
No.
Because what's money?
Right. They're not making it.
It's not their money.
Right. Everybody else is ponying up.
I just think about the Christmas gifts you could buy in December if it wasn't your money.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
If you had the state's credit card, Sid, you're going to be hooked up. Going to get you a playhouse bigger than our house.
Well, if you figure, I'm just thinking of 3 boondoggles right now. You've got, Cover Oregon, which is the most obvious one, 300 plus. That, by the way, that bill continues to grow just on the basis of legal bills, which are not cheap. So we're right now $300+ million. Then you've got the Columbia River crossing for another $250 to $275 million. So now you're over $500 million. Then you throw in, I think now we're at about $350 million for the Highway 20 project out there at Pioneer Mountain, which was supposed to be done in 1999, that they're still working on. And you put all that together, and now you're close to $1 billion. It's kind of like, well, what could you have done worthwhile with that money?
What's the running tally right now with the update on the highway project?
Oh, it's sitting there. They're still waiting.
No, but I mean,
out
how much money are we at?
It's something like 275 mil, I believe.
God,
they're good. They're getting close to about 300 million. And it was, by the way, it was supposed to only be, well, only, it was supposed to be something like $50-60 million that they were going to spend on that. And it makes, I mean, the idea wasn't a bad idea. If you've ever driven that particular stretch, it was narrow, it was windy. I mean, that's kind of the main thoroughfare from the Mid-Valley over to Newport. And so, okay, that area through Eddyville makes kind of sense because the road was narrow and you got semis that are going over there and they're always having wrecks. And, well, all right, that makes sense. But just the way they've gone about it was just, the thing that I can't figure out is we've known for decades that Oregon, Western Oregon, was prone to debris flows, mudslides, landslides, etc.
What?
We know that occasionally we have these things called earthquakes. We know that areas are prone to liquefaction. We've known all these things for a long time, and yet as they were building the stretch, it's almost like, oh, wait a minute. You mean that... Okay, so let me get this straight. We have slides in this area? You're telling me that the earth shifts here? What? Since when? Well, since like the beginning of time. And so they make it sound like it was a big surprise. Well, we had no idea that the ground was going to be moving here. Well, duh. Essentially, you're building it on slopes. What do you think?
KPNW, good morning.
Yeah, just the whole idea that these things occur, and then they need a big study. You need a big study.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think what the general public don't realize is in Portland and Salem, these folks call up their friends that own the little the businesses that do this. Yeah, I need to get a study on this. That bridge project in Portland, not a piece of dirt turned, and what were they into it? $250 million.
Yeah, $250 million.
And somehow we think that their friends in the industry didn't just get rich off this nice little tidy little deal they did there, and all they had to do is produce a little paperwork. And this is just rampant in Oregon. It would be my version of a Peyton place.
Well, I mean, it's not just Oregon. I mean, the same stuff goes down in California. If you had the money to investigate it, and it would take money to investigate it, what you do is you go back through and you find out where the legislators have been investing their money. Because oddly enough, many of them tend to invest in projects before the money is actually allocated towards the projects. And there's this odd thing that happens where you'll find legislators or their family members investing in companies that all of a sudden happen to be involved in some of these projects.
Or their friends.
Or their friends. I mean, a classic example is down in California where they've spent, I can't remember how many $1 billion on high-speed rail. And they have all of about 4 miles of high-speed rail track. But they've spent multi-billions of dollars in this. And you start looking at, well, whose family members have benefited from this? Oh, let's see. You got Barbara Boxer's husband, Willie Brown. I mean, you start looking at the stuff and it's like, well, okay, these people were investing in this and then they voted for it. And then all of a sudden they're getting this windfall and nobody calls foul on it. Anyway.
By the way, that last caller, a dead ringer for Barry Corbin's voice, the astronaut on Northern Exposure. Just like him. 6:38. First guest coming up on 1120 KPNW next.
Climb aboard Amtrak Cascades from Eugene to Portland for less than $20 one way. Start your adventure at Amtrak.com/see what happens.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We're tracking moderate showers off and on out there. They're part of the storm system that hit the coast hard last night with lightning and winds up to 50 miles an hour. Now, the cold front moved through last night about 8 or 9 here in town, but the core of the system is now moving through. That's what's generating these showers. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Temps right now look to be in the upper 30s to low 40s with winds out of the south at 10 to 20. As we move through the day, the core of the system will continue to rotate through the area. That gives us a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon with mostly cloudy skies. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s with winds coming down a bit out of the south at 10 to 15. Showers look to continue off and on, start to tapering off into your Friday morning, and by the time we reach the weekend, complete opposite. Mostly sunny skies with highs in the 70s and even to the 80s for the weekend. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
KPNW.
It was worth waiting just to hear him say KPNW. Good morning. It is 6:40. Welcome to the Wake Up Call. Angry fists of rain out there this morning. It is pouring. Be careful as you drive wherever you happen to be driving this morning. Well, I'll say, if nothing else, one thing this election season has done has actually made people aware of what delegates are when it comes to the primary process. The question, I guess, this morning is, and we will discuss it with our next guest, is how far is the RNC willing to go to try and avoid Trump? They were trying to get House Speaker Paul Ryan to be a nominee at the convention. Ryan said, not even close to interested. But the question is, how far will they go? A lot of battling now for those bound delegates and trying to unbind them. To talk a little bit about it this morning, Dr. Leslie Feldman joins us. She's a professor of political science at Hofstra University, author of Spaceships and Politics, the Political Theory of Rod Serling, and the forthcoming Rustics and Politics, the Political Theory of the Beverly Hillbillies. Okay, I got to ask, do the Beverly Hillbillies really have a political theory?
Well, you have to read the book. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I think they have a political theory of the common man, of the American dream, of what it takes to make it in America. What is the American dream? Is it just money? Is it ambition? How do we define success? And sometimes that's very paradoxical, as in the case of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a rich, famous billionaire, one of the richest people in America, and yet he's a queen street fighter. He also has the common touch, which seems to have resonated with the voters. So I think it's going to be very hard to deny him the nomination in Cleveland.
Okay, it may be very hard to deny him the nomination, but how hard will it be for Americans to deny him the presidency?
I think it's going to be close, but I think he's the only Republican that can beat Hillary Clinton.
You don't think Cruz could do it?
No, I don't think. I think Cruz has an unfavorability ranking that compares with Donald Trump, and he has none of the good things about Trump, which is the intensity of support, the enthusiasm, and just sort of the circus atmosphere that attracts voters.
Okay. The question, as I posed it going into this interview, is how far is the RNC going to go to try and keep Trump from, being the candidate of choice to take on ostensibly Hillary Clinton in the fall. They've already tried to recruit Paul Ryan. Ryan has said no, no, no. How much further can they go? I mean, right now are they pinning everything essentially on Cruz and Kasich, or is there some other direction that they're willing to try and go?
they're pinning everything on the hopes that Donald Trump won't come near 1,200. I think Donald Trump is going to win all 95 delegates on Tuesday in the New York primary, and I think the voters resoundingly said no, no, no to Paul Ryan when he ran as vice president. So I think he's out. It's going to get harder for the Republican Party to deny Trump the nomination. I think they see how things are going, and the events are shaping up so that Donald Trump really, I think, particularly after Tuesday, is going to have the momentum.
Does the RNC not realize I mean, you can say whatever you want to about, the damage that potentially Donald Trump is creating or causing the Republican Party. I mean, putting that aside, it seems like the RNC is hell-bent for leather to try and commit, at least partially, some form of suicide.
Yeah, definitely. They'd rather commit suicide and destroy the party and alienate all of the Republican voters, a lot of whom will stay home, than have Donald Trump as their nominee. And I think that's a mistake for them.
Well, okay, so, at this point, what would be the strategy if the RNC wanted to try at least and save a little bit of face? What would be the best strategy for them to just kind of back away?
Well, they could do what they did with Ronald Reagan. Apparently, the Republican Party didn't want Ronald Reagan as its nominee. So, sort of the middle ground was they said, well, we'll take you as the nominee if you put in George Bush, who's like someone that we know. If you put in George H.W. Bush as your vice president, who Ronald Reagan didn't want. But Reagan said, okay, he agreed to it. So I think they could work out some sort of compromise deal if Trump is the nominee and maybe like Kasich or Paul Ryan could be the vice president. That could work.
You think after Paul Ryan saying, no, I'm going... Yesterday, I mean, he was about as clear as anybody could be about wanting to remain the Speaker of the House. Do you really think that he would be willing to turn around and go, okay, change my mind yet again? I want to be vice president. I want to ride this crazy train into the face of the sun.
Yes, unless he really hates Donald Trump. But yeah, I think he'd do it. And I think Kasich would. I think that's the only reason Kasich is hanging around, so he can get vice president, which isn't so bad.
Yeah. Do you think he's really hanging around to get vice president, or is he really hanging around hoping that they go and contest the whole thing and he ends up being the guy that they choose as kind of a compromise candidate?
Well, it's a two-man race. I don't think you can really just win the primary of one state and become the nominee. So I don't think Kasich is going to be the nominee.
Yeah, but okay, wait a second. But yet they were trying to get Paul Ryan, who didn't even run.
Oh, that's true. No, it's true. They have this rule in place where apparently you have to win 8 primaries in 8 states in order to be considered as the nominee. They could change that rule. I don't think they will, because then you're going to have real pandemonium. But if they change that rule, then all bets are off, and it could be Kasich or anybody else.
So you really don't... I mean, Cruz, the way that Cruz and his team took the delegates in Colorado... I mean, say whatever you want, and Trump can whine and complain all he wants to. The way that they worked that was brilliant.
Very sneaky, very sneaky.
Well, it wasn't sneaky. They followed the rules. They worked the rules.
Which, of course, Donald Trump doesn't know the rules. He's not a politician. Machiavelli said you have to be a fox and a lion. A fox to avoid the traps, and a lion to frighten the wolves. Donald Trump is a lion. He frightens away a lot of the competition, but he's not a fox because he was outwitted by Ted Cruz, who does know the rules.
Okay, so that leads to a question that's been brought up. I know that Krauthammer brought it up. I know that a couple of emails that we've had also said that. If you've got a guy that knows the rules in advance, and I mean, the rules have been there for a long time regarding Colorado, you know the rules in advance, you're going to be the person that's also dealing with China. You're going to be dealing with Putin and Russia. You're going to be dealing with all of these factions in the Middle East. If you can't handle one state and trying to win the delegates there during a primary, how are you going to handle something as important as trying to broker peace in the Middle East?
And if you can't beat Hillary Clinton, then none of that is possible.
Well, that's true, too. Do you think that he can beat Hillary Clinton?
I think Trump can beat Hillary Clinton. Right. It's going to be like, what do they call it, Subway Series, New York versus New York. And I think they both have very high unlikability ratings, but given the choice, I think people will vote for Donald Trump.
And is that because of Hillary's just kind of slimy persona and reputation?
You can't say that Trump is dishonest. I think Hillary has.
No, I didn't. If I said Trump, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say Hillary. Do you think?
Right. No, I think Hillary. Whether or not it's earned, I don't know. But I think Hillary has a reputation for being dishonest. And if you want someone who's honest, that's Donald Trump.
Well, wait. Can you really go that far to say the guy is honest?
I think he's been pretty honest. Yeah. I don't think people see him as a liar.
Yeah, don't you think that a lot of people see him as kind of a snake oil salesman? I mean, this is a guy who's made a fortune essentially swindling little old ladies out of their Social Security money at casinos. I mean, come on.
I think the public sees Donald Trump as a lightweight and an entertainer. Would you rather have an entertainer or someone who, Benghazi, and you have the email scandal, and you have all Whitewater, and you have all impeachment and Bill Clinton. There's a lot of bad baggage there, which Donald Trump doesn't really have.
So do you think now that people have really gotten to the point, and I'm not defending Hillary, that people have gotten to the point where they look at it and go, oh, let's just elect the funny guy. Let's put the entertaining guy in office. It'll be fun. Do you really think the American public at this point has gotten so shallow as that's where they're going?
Well,
I mean, is idiocracy
said,
actually here?
Men judge by their eyes, and appearances matter. Donald Trump announces his candidacy from the Trump Tower, and he has the supermodel wife, and that appeals to people, yeah. The entertainment value. The theatricality, the pomposity.
We're doomed.
Maybe so, but I think he's their best chance if the Republicans want to win the White House.
All right. Dr. Feldman, I appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning.
Thank you.
All right, you take care. It's 6:51 News Radio, 1120 KPNW.
It's radio you can watch. The Wake Up Call with live video streaming from the Widmer Brothers studio every weekday morning from 6 a.m. to 9. Go to KPNW.com and click on the Wake Up Call streaming banner. The Wake Up Call and Widmer Brothers, the local guys.
Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
If you owe for back taxes, payroll taxes, or if you've not filed, the IRS will search you out. They are the most powerful collection agency in the world. One call to Wall & Associates, and your tax problems can be solved. Listen.
I was worried I would lose my house. Wall met with me in person.
I was scared. Wall & Associates got my levy released in 48 hours.
They settled my back tax debt for a fraction of what I owed.
At Wall, we solve tax problems. Call 800-285-2933. That's 800-285-2933. You always speak with a live person.
I never had to talk to the IRS again.
Wall stopped my wage garnishment.
Wall solved my back tax problems for a fraction of what I owed.
Call Wall & Associates now for a free face-to-face consultation. Call 800-285-2933. That's 800-285-2933. 800-285-2933.
Are some rooms hot while others are cold? Is mold an issue? I'm Josh from Josh Lowe's Dr. Energy Saver. We'll provide a free home comfort and energy evaluation. Find the causes of these problems and fix them. Call Josh Lowe's Dr. Energy Saver today at 248-1173. That's 248-1173. Or online at OregonEnergySaver.com.
Josh Lowe's Dr. Energy Saver. We fix uncomfortable homes.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Recently I told you that the whole us versus them theme that's infected the current political landscape is actually grounded in truthiness instead of real data. Truthiness is a term coined by comedian Stephen Colbert that means something that seems true without any critical examination of facts, logic, or evidence to prove that it is. It's just because it feels right. Truthiness is often used to obscure reality and manipulate your instincts, emotions, and actions, like voting, for instance. Now consider income inequality. Truthiness has framed this as the 1% versus the 99, meaning the 1% of the population with the highest incomes versus all the rest of us. Of course, mathematically, there is a 1%, but the real problem of inequality of income, wealth, and more importantly, opportunity is not split 99-1. It's more like a 25-75% divide, according to research done by the Center for Household Financial Stability at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Here's the nugget. Unlike the Open Market Committee, where Janet Yellen and others set interest rates, this part of the Fed is pretty much politically neutral. The research shows that it's the top 25% of the population that controls most of our wealth. But that doesn't have quite the same ring as 1% when it comes to making people angry. More soon. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
When you clean out your garage or storage shed, there's a good chance you'll find some hazardous products to dispose of. Paint, pesticides, solvents and fuels are items you may want to get rid of. They need special handling and disposal. Fortunately, Lane County residents have access to convenient and free hazardous waste disposal services. To make an appointment for disposal or to get more information, just call 682-4120. This message is sponsored by Lane County Public Works in association with Eugene area radio stations. Ears.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. I feel like I'm choking.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out in the next few minutes or you're already out and about, we have moderate showers on the radar. It's part of the storm system that moved in last night and brought severe weather to the coast, as well as several lightning strikes. The core of that system is now moving through the area. That means showers off and on throughout your day. Now, if you're headed out in the next few minutes, temps right now are in the upper 30s to low 40s out there. We have mostly cloudy skies, winds out of the south at 10 to 20, with a few gusts up to 25, and storms on radar. This afternoon, that core will continue to push through the region. That means mostly cloudy skies dominate. Showers off and on throughout the day, as well as the possibility of a few isolated thunderstorms into the afternoon as we start to warm up. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s out there. Winds will stay south at 10 to 15 with a few gusts up to 20. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day, and by the weekend, sunny skies and warm temps.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
Stocks are little changed in early trading this morning, with the S&P 500 near a 4-month high. Investors are assessing earnings releases and data showing the labor market is improving with little pickup in inflation. Right now, the Dow is flat at 17,905. The S&P 500 is down 1 point at 2081, and the Nasdaq is lower by 7 at 4940. Shares of Delta Airlines are up almost 3% after the carrier's latest results beat analyst estimates. Wells Fargo is down about 1% this morning after the bank reported first quarter profit that declined. Meanwhile, the latest snapshot of jobless claims that shows them falling by 13,000 to 253,000 last week, and that was the lowest level since 1973. Our cost of living is going up, but the March increase was less than estimated. The core consumer price index increasing 0.1%, the smallest gain since August. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Hey, folks, the California Democrats have done it again, only a week after the governor signed a new law giving minimum wage employees $15 an hour. He signed another law to punish businesses. Under California's current family leave law, when employees leave to care for a newborn child or ailing family member, they are guaranteed 55% of their normal wages for up to 6 weeks. But the new law increases the amount that business owners have to pay. Minimum wage workers are now guaranteed 70% of their regular salary, higher wage earners 60%. Why doesn't everybody get 100%? Why didn't they do that? And you know, it won't stop here, folks. Last week, San Francisco became the first city to guarantee employees 100% paid leave up to 6 weeks. Why not 12 weeks? Why stop at 6? Still, the state measure gave Governor Moonbeam a little bit of a thrill. He said it was a real pleasure to sign the increases into law and claimed it would help the little guy fight the forces of globalization. The truth is, the little guy is going to be unemployed before long. Now, California shows exactly what happens when liberals gain supermajority status, when nobody can stop them. Skyrocketing taxes, job creators with costly new burdens like this family leave law. The state is now an even bigger magnet for illegal immigration, and Democrats could not be happier. But I have a question. Why not pay everybody for never showing up? Because everybody's got problems every day. Why put limits on it? Say, folks, one of the largest and most profitable fields in business today is corporate training, executive coaching, and speaking. It has become an $11 billion annual industry. Now, if you've been thinking of entering this exploding corporate training market, you need to become certified by the John Maxwell team. I have seen and heard success stories of people who become certified Maxwell corporate trainers, executive coaches, and speakers, and I am impressed. Maxwell is the global authority. They've been at this for more than 40 years. Now, when you become Maxwell certified, you'll be able to profit from this booming business. The fastest growing, largest certification program in the world, the John Maxwell team, has been certifying corporate trainers, executive coaches, and speakers for years, all over the world. Become a Maxwell certified corporate trainer, executive coach, and speaker. Visit johnmaxwellradio.com now for special free gifts.
Depend on us for breaking news from the local neighborhood to the global one. We are News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Nearly 30,000 New Yorkers felt the burn last night at a huge rally.
I don't think that there is any doubt but that our campaign today has the momentum.
But Bernie Sanders is playing catch-up in Hillary Clinton's adopted home state. She has a double-digit lead in the polls. The two Democrats debate tonight. Donald Trump has a bigger New York lead among Republicans.
There's great spirit. There's great movement. This is a movement like they haven't seen.
Outside his rally in Pittsburgh, though, last night it got ugly. A big crowd of anti-Trump protesters got into shouting matches with supporters. There was pepper spray and arrests. Trump's campaign manager got into it with a reporter last month, is getting a break. Fox's Tanya J. Powers explains live.
Well, Dave, although the formal announcement from the Palm Beach County State Attorney isn't until this afternoon, the Trump campaign's social media director posted on Facebook that Corey Lewandowski will not be prosecuted. He was facing a charge of misdemeanor battery over allegations he grabbed reporter Michelle Fields' arm as she asked Donald Trump a question after a press event in Jupiter, Florida last month. Fields tells Fox's Megyn Kelly she will pursue a civil suit for defamation. Dave.
Tanya, a Texas deputy constable is out of surgery after he was ambushed late last night, shot from behind as he stood by a patrol car.
A man across the street just starts shooting. His partner sees him go down. She gets out of the car and returns fire before calling for help. At this time, no arrests have been made, but there is someone investigators are talking to.
That's Rob Wu with Fox 26 TV in Houston. He says Alden Clopton was shot 6 times. One of the bullets was lodged near his heart, but he is expected to survive. The U.S. says American ships will be conducting joint patrols with the Philippines in the South China Sea and also keeping nearly 300 troops in the Philippines through the end of the month amid increased tension with China. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So our highly skilled technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
When Dad needed help getting around, I became his driver. Soon enough, it was up to me to be his housekeeper and financial manager, too. When he moved in, I became his cook and even his nurse. But no matter what roles I play, I know I'm still his daughter.
We understand the roles you play. So to help, we created aarp.org/caregiving, where you can connect with experts and other caregivers. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It is a quiet start to the day on Wall Street. Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalini is live at the New York Stock Exchange.
Dave, those stocks are relatively flat at the moment. It is worth noting that the Dow and the S&P 500 did start off to the upside and hit the highest point of 2016. Right now, the Dow is down 13 points at 17,894. The S&P is down 3, and the Nasdaq is down down 12. Bank of America and also Wells Fargo saw profit misses. Bank of America slightly higher, Wells Fargo slightly lower. Pier 1 Imports down over 7% after its quarterly report, but Delta, on the other hand, is a winner, up 1.5% after its quarterly reports. Dave.
Thank you, Nicole. The price of oil is barely budging today, and it's still around 41 and change a barrel. Gas is up nearly 2 more cents today. AAA's national average for regular is almost at $2.10 a gallon. News on inflation. Consumer prices rose 0.1% last month. What a season for the Golden State Warriors. They started it off with a record win streak and ended it setting another record last night. Fox's Jared Max was at the game and now live in the Bay Area.
When the Warriors won the first 24 games of the season, it was impossible for the team to not recognize its potential and a record that had stood for 20 years. Golden State never took its foot off the gas this season, all the way to winning an NBA record 73 games. Number 73 last night. Another blowout win, 125-104 against the Memphis Grizzlies here in Oakland. In line to win a second straight Most Valuable Player award, Stephen Curry reached 2 personal milestones. 46 points brought his season average to 30 per game, and his 10 3-pointers extended his own record for threes in one season to 402. Dave?
Jared, not to be outshined, Kobe Bryant had a last game for the ages last night, scoring 60 points.
It was just, it's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I'm still in shock about it.
The cherry on top of a 20-year career when Bryant won 5 NBA titles with the Lakers. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
KPNW, hour number 2. Welcome in. It's a Thursday, April 14th, the year 2016. Hopefully you're within a couple of years of that. Thunderstorms, breezy conditions, 90% chance of rain. I would just hang a big old hundy on that. 40% chance of showers and 40 coming up tonight. Partly cloudy and 62 for your Friday. Some sun starting off your weekend, Saturday. I-5 milepost 148 through 176. We got 12 miles north of Sutherland. Some congestion and slow going because of construction. So just be ready for both lanes. Both directions and both lanes to be a little bit slow. Highway 38 at milepost 36.14 near Elkton, we've got the eastbound lanes affected and the shoulder with a crash. So nothing in our parts here, Eugene, Springfield, but down there near Sutherland and near Elkton, got a couple of situations. The crash probably a little bit more cumbersome. 7:06, we're going to catch up with an old, I feel like it's been years and years. It's only been a week since Stu Allen took off for other pastures, and we'll kind of catch up with him and find out what's going on with a former member of the family here, and also talk about Zika and local stories, too.
Yeah, we'll have these stories coming up in just a matter of moments. A lot more was learned about the individual who opened fire in a Eugene park, killing one man and then turning the gun on himself. We'll have the story there. A couple of other incidents of gunplay also under investigation in not only Eugene, but also in Springfield. We'll have those stories. We'll take a look at the Bureau of Labor and Industries getting basically a thumbs up from the courts in the case of a man in the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. We'll look at those stories, and even in Eastern Oregon, in La Grande, an attempt to, essentially create another Columbine. Those stories and more are coming up, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, here on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News time 7:07. Good morning.
A tasty meal can make your day. A solid breakfast puts a good spin on things at the beginning of the day. A great meal in the evening can usually salvage a lousy day. Burrito Amigos can definitely cover the bases and be first in rotation or back cleanup. Fast and hot, Burrito Amigos breakfast burritos are fresh and tasty. You choose the meat. The bacon burritos have 2 types of bacon. The machaca burritos are made from certified black Angus. Or get tasty and zesty chorizo, link sausage, huevos ranchero made with green salsa, or go meatless. Indianapolis. On the back end of the day, let Burrito Amigos do the cooking while you enjoy other great items off the menu like quesadillas, tostadas, tamales, wet burritos, even something more unique like lengua burritos or Mexican cheesesteak burritos. Let Burrito Amigos be the beginning of a great day or the salvation to a bad one. Smiles all around from Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones in Eugene and Springfield. I'm Bill London, and I approve all the breakfast burritos and about half of the rest of the menu. The other half I haven't eaten yet.
When you take the train, there's no telling what adventures await you. But that didn't stop us from speculating. Here's how it works, Mary. You tell me what you do aboard Amtrak Cascades, and I'll use my powers of prognostication to predict your path. Still game?
I'm game.
While riding the train, do you A, relax in your seat, or B, visit the bistro car?
Relax in my seat.
Catch some Z's, or be productive?
Be productive.
Open a book or your laptop?
Laptop.
Email or blog?
Blog.
Okay, here goes. While blogging in your comfy leather chair, you're moved by the sweeping views of the mossy megalopolis that is Oregon. You start building tiny train terrariums with native moss and even make punny t-shirts like, don't forget to moss.
Wow, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, it's a gift. Amtrak Cascades. See what happens from Eugene to Portland for less than $20 one way. Start your adventure at Amtrak.com/see what happens. Restrictions may apply.
You'll hear it here first. This is your wake-up call on News Radio 1120. KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Tuesday evening, Eugene's Emerald Park turned into a crime scene. It was triggered by 31-year-old Orlando Centino. The events unfolded as John Mills, Kane Barnett, and a group of friends were gathering for a barbecue at the skate park. According to witnesses, Centino approached the group incensed after an argument with his girlfriend.
He lives adjacent to the park, and he entered into some kind of disagreement with subjects at the park, and then ultimately the disagreement got a little more heated, and then Centino produced a firearm.
Captain Spence Slater says that's when Centino started shooting. His aim connected with John Mills and Kane Barnett. 21-year-old Barnett was wounded but released from the hospital later that night. 28-year-old John Mills was killed. After the shooting, Centino headed back to his home north of the park, kicked his girlfriend and their children out, and then he committed suicide. Now, this isn't Centino's first run-in with people at the park.
There's other people that frequent the park, apparently, that he has issues with.
Records show that Centino was released from the Lane County Jail last week after being convicted of menacing in connection with an incident at Emerald Park last summer involving him being dressed up in camo, a ballistic vest, and armed with a stun gun. Centino admitted to pointing a shotgun at a man he claimed to have threatened him. It's just one of many incidences that are being reported involving Centino as the aggressor. Matters could have been a lot worse than they were in the shooting on Tuesday.
Where it happened in a park that's frequented by preschool-aged kids.
The shooting occurred around 6 p.m. at a time when parents are coming to pick up their kids at the pool, which is located on the 9-acre property that includes the park. A vigil for victim John Mills was attended by about 100 people last night. Well, as if the area around Emerald Park wasn't already dealing with the aftermath of a deadly shooting, Wednesday morning, a home in the neighborhood was hit by bullets during a drive-by shooting. The incident occurred in the 900 block of Park Avenue, just west of River Road. No one was injured, although one person was home at the time of the incident. Lane County Sheriff's deputies are investigating. They do not believe the shooting was connected to the park shooting, and they're not sure who the target was. Springfield police are also investigating a shooting, but they believe it could be gang activity. The incident occurred near Grenada Park. It left a nearby apartment complex pockmarked with bullet holes. Police were able to recover bullet casings. All police are saying right now is that they have leads as to who might be responsible, and they're asking for any tips that community members might have regarding the crime. The Eugene City Council voted in favor of selling some land on Olive Street. Granite Properties is interested in purchasing the property for $70,000 and building a 5-story housing development. For the sale to actually go through, details are going to need to be worked out. First, it will require a multi-unit property tax exemption, the so-called MUPTI that has raised the ire with some city residents. The most complicated issue, though, is the building would interfere with nearby KLCC and their transmitter antenna. Now, that problem could be dealt with in a few different ways. City councilors and the mayor say that KLCC shouldn't have to shoulder that expense. By the way, the FCC and the feds would say the same thing. One of the suggestions would be to move the tower to the new building. Now, if anyone thinks that's an easy thing to do, think again. It's a time-consuming process. The FCC, a federal agency, requires a number of hoops to be gone through that could take not a year, but years to go through. Thieves filing fraudulent tax returns are stealing from the government and ruining lives. Brad Ford says that an Oregon senator wants the IRS to take the problem seriously.
In 2013, nearly $6 billion that were supposed to go to the federal government went to these thieves, and every year similar amounts are being stolen. But the fraud damages more than the government. It wrecks the credit of the people whose identities are stolen. Senator Jeff Merkley says the IRS needs to take this problem more seriously.
We need to do more to help people from becoming victims in the first place.
Senator Merkley is joining Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota to send a letter to the IRS. They acknowledge the steps the IRS is taking to solve the problem, but say it's not enough. Merkley and Rounds say that the IRS needs to take more steps to increase security and reduce the theft. Brad Ford, KPNW.
The Oregon Court of Appeals ruled that the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office violated a hiring preference law when it failed to give special consideration to disabled military veteran Sergeant Rod Edwards. The sergeant filed a civil rights complaint in 2013 after he failed to win a promotion to lieutenant.
And the Court of Appeals today upheld not only the decision that they had violated his rights, but the $50,000 that we had ordered the county pay him for the harm that denial had caused him.
Charlie Burr with the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries says the verdict could be appealed to the Supreme Court. Still, going forward,
it's important that every veteran that returns from service have a real chance at employment, at advancement within the job, and that they be entitled to the veteran's preference that the law provides for them. And this decision simply reaffirms that right that veterans have.
the problems don't end for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office as another investigation has been opened against them to determine whether Lieutenant Brent Ritchie faced unlawful retaliation for protected whistleblowing activities. Two sons of Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy and three other men are due to be transferred from Oregon to Nevada, facing charges stemming from an armed confrontation with government agents 2 years ago. Defense lawyers in Oregon lost a bid for the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to block the move. Lawyers for Ammon Bundy say they've told their arraignments are going to be Friday in U.S. District Court in Nevada. Bundy, Ryan Bundy, his brother, Brian Cavalier, Blaine Cooper, and Ryan Payne have been in federal custody in Portland, where they're accused of leading the occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. In Nevada, they're facing conspiracy, obstruction, weapon, and assault charges for a standoff with the feds who were rounding up cattle near Bunkerville. Last year's wildfire season set a record with more than 10 million acres scorched across the entire country. In Oregon, 631,000 acres were blackened due to fire, and it cost $240 million to battle those blazes. If the weather holds on the west side of the Cascades, 2016 could be a different story, according to Rod Nichols with the Oregon Department of Forestry, but he says there's lots of variables.
It's too early to tell right now what kind of a fire season we'll have this summer, but we have had better snowpack across the region and also a pretty good rainfall.
Fire season will depend in great part how fast the snow melts and how soon the forests begin to dry out. Police arrested two LeGrand High School students Tuesday that they say were planning a Columbine-style attack at the school. Police said they received information that students were talking about the possibility of launching an attack at the school, including targeting students, staff, and even law enforcement. Police and school administrators launched an investigation, and they determined the threat was credible after conducting interviews. Police said that they took two juveniles into custody. They face charges of conspiracy to commit murder. The suspects were taken to a juvenile detention facility. They're awaiting arraignment. School was in session yesterday, but with an increase of sheriff's deputies and police providing extra security, Police say they're still investigating. U.S. Representative Greg Walden announced the TSA Fairness Act, a bill he authored to restore commercial air service to the Crater Lake Klamath Falls Regional Airport, unanimously passed the U.S. House. SkyWest was serving the regional airport until 2014. When that service left, so did the TSA. When Pan Air announced they would provide daily service to the small airport, the TSA refused to put screening back in. Instead, the TSA said to, believe it or not, reverse screen.
Well, that means you board the 28 or 30 passenger airplane with all your luggage, everything else, and then you fly 236 miles north to Portland, Oregon. Then you deplane on the tarmac, and you come back through like you'd just driven up.
In other words, you don't get screened until you've already flown.
We'll find out what you're carrying, what's in your bags, and then we'll put you on the connecting flight. Does anybody think that's a good security thing? Does anybody think the people who want to do us harm aren't going to figure that gaping hole?
The TSA Fairness Act would require the TSA to restore screening services to any airport that lost service after January 1st of 2013 and that has a guarantee from a commercial airline to resume service within 1 year. There's at least 6 airports nationwide seeking to resume flights after undergoing a temporary gap in service. They're being denied TSA security, screening, and personnel. That bill is now headed for the Senate, where it is indeed expected to pass. This look at the news has been brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee. It is 720 News Radio KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Wins in a regular season, a record that seemed unbreakable. 72 by Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan at the helm. Now, a new name slapped on it, Golden State. 73. Last night behind 46 points from Steph Curry, who had 10 three-point shots, gave him 402 for the season. It took Larry Bird 9 seasons to get 400. The Memphis Grizzlies were reduced to spectators in their NBA finale, regular season-wise. Curry talks about the hype over getting 73 when really there's a bigger prize on the line.
For us to keep that playoff kind of mentality and that playoff focus for our ultimate goal is obviously a championship. These last 2 weeks have been mentally and physically challenging, so I think it's made us better, and we'll be fresh for this weekend.
A half a state away down in the South, L.A., it was a fitting answer for Kobe Bryant, who stepped out on his send-off, busting out for 60 points. Lakers down Jazz, 101-96. Kobe took the mic after the game.
I can't believe how fast 20 years went by. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. What can I say? Mamba out.
And then he placed the mic down. He should have dropped it. Portland Trailblazers clinched the 5th seed, and they took care of the Nuggets 107-99 at home in front of 19,000 plus. At the Moda, Damian Lillard, 21 points, giving him a scoring average of 25.1, joining Clyde Drexler and Kiki Vandeweghe as the only Blazers to average more than 25 in a season. Oregon baseball team played Portland in Hillsboro for the most part last night. The Ducks up 3-1 on the Pilots when heavy rain forced the game to be postponed in the 8th. The 9th inning, the rest of the game will get finished May 17th in Eugene. To Oregon golf, Aaron Weiss led after 2 rounds, but the final round pretty much goes to Maverick McNeely and Stanford. Maverick gets the individual, and of course Stanford the team win. McNeely finished 16 under to Wise's 14 under. Stanford won 9 under. Ducks were 3rd at 9 over as a team. Wake Up Call Sports brought to you by Max Muscle, your authority in sports nutrition since 1991. I'm Franklin, across from Market of Choice in Eugene, News Time 722.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We're tracking moderate showers off and on out there. They're part of the storm system that hit the coast hard last night with lightning and winds up to 50 miles an hour. Now, the cold front moved through last night about 8 or 9 here in town, but the core of the system is now moving through. That's what's generating these showers. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Temps right now look to be in the upper 30s to low 40s with winds out of the south at 10 to 20. As we move through the day, the core of the system will continue to rotate through the area. That gives us a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon with mostly cloudy skies. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s with winds coming down a bit out of the south south at 10 to 15. Showers look to continue off and on, start to tapering off into your Friday morning, and by the time we reach the weekend, complete opposite. Mostly sunny skies with highs in the 70s and even to the 80s for the weekend. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Ramjack leads the way in foundation repair. Protect your investment. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Check out our exceptional online reviews, then choose Ramjack.
CCB 146906.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute, sponsored by Eugene's #1 electrical contractor, Builders Electric. Are you pretty busy right now? Is your schedule so full you feel completely stressed out? Well, the very perceptive Sidney J. Harris once said that time to relax is when you don't have time for it. In other words, probably the best time to use the old phrase about stop, look, and listen is when you need it the most. I'm guessing that if you take a few minutes and stop your busy schedule, sit back, take a big breath, take your eyes off that computer screen, and take your mind off how stressed you are, you'll find yourself refreshed and ready to continue. Try it today. You might really like it. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
This Motivational Minute was brought to you by Builders Electric, providing honest, reliable, and positive contracting throughout the Willamette Valley since 1960. That's Builders Electric, CCB number 4296.
Max Muscle Sports Nutrition is more than a nutrition store. Tom here at Max Muscle. If you want to make changes to your overall health, lose weight, build muscle, or if you just want to feel better, stop by, talk to a certified nutritionist. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard, across from the Market of Choice.
It's spring, and you're excited for that next great shooting trip. Your first stop should be Tannerite Sports Outlet in Eugene. You know Tannerite Sports Outlet's your local source for Tannerite binary rifle targets, but there's so much more. Tannerite's got reloading supplies, tactical gear, magazines, and accessories. And if ammo supplies a worry, don't, because Tannerite has bulk quantities of the most popular calibers that'll keep you shooting affordably. No question, Tannerite's the home for exploding targets. But from tactical gear to ammo, it's the Tannerite Sports Outlet, just off I-5 across from LCC. All right, so if you're one of those folks that's been out working hard, trying to make ends meet, trying to get out of a financial hole for whatever reason, maybe you had a foreclosure when everything went gunny back in 2007 and 8, maybe you were hammered by medical bills. Well, if you're one of those folks that's working hard, trying to get things back on the way that things should be, and your car breaks down, keep in mind that Garrity Discount Chevrolet has the Good People Bad Credit program. They'll get you into a quality, safe, reliable vehicle, in most cases in 48 hours or less. Now, it's going to help you in a couple of ways. Number one, it's going to help you get to work, get your family where they need to go, but it's also going to help get your credit back online. So call them 541-998-2333. That's 541-998-2333. Talk to Robert Sloan at Garrity Discount Chevrolet. They say Robert Sloan gets you the loan.
What happens next happens here on the Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
726 News Radio 1120 KPNW. So for the longest time here at Bicoastal, we called him Stu, because that was his name. But we also had
world-class
nicknames like Glue and Rue, because he was kind of the backbone of the radio station. Did a lot of stuff. So he's been described more times than once as the nicest person in radio. We'll go on top of that and say one of the best professionals that you'll ever meet. And he doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah.
So we can...
Yeah, so now we can have him actually on the air on this station.
Right. You guys are way too nice. Thank you.
Oh.
Stu Allen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome
Stu
back.
Allen.
Good morning.
You used to hear him doing news here on KPNW. I don't know, about a year ago?
Yeah.
And you were doing that for a while, and then you became world-class Stu on our sister station, 101.5, and now you've gone on to a different gig.
I have indeed.
Kind of cool.
The PD at KRVM.
Yes. I officially take over the 1st of May. Right now I'm in kind of the training transition period, but it's been a lot of fun so far. This is my first week over there, and it's been great.
So tell people that don't know about KRVM what it is.
KRVM is the Eugene School District public radio station, and we have 2 classes a day with Sheldon High kids, basically, who learn to do radio in there. And it's unlike most radio stations, instead of having a staff, we've got a staff, but they're all volunteers.
So I went to Churchill.
Which is kind of like it is here when you look at the pay.
First radio station I ever was on was KRVM Churchill. If you don't go to Sheldon, are you able to kind of come over, or are you pretty much...
At this point, I think it's just, I'm still learning this stuff, but at this point, I think it's pretty much just Sheldon students. And then Spencer Butte Middle School also has a program. They've got a couple days a week where Spencer Butte Middle School kids are on the air, too.
Really?
Yeah, and they sound amazingly good. Middle school kids, you'd be surprised how good they sound.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We got some competition coming up.
Oh, yeah.
When you first found out about the gig, aside from leaving by coastal, what was most appealing to you?
That's a good question. I guess new challenges maybe would be one of it. I've done commercial radio now for 39 years, something like that. Never stepped into public radio, and it just kind of intrigued me. And I really liked the idea of teaching kids. I started when I was 16 years old down in Roseburg. There was no program like this. I got lucky and got my foot in the door at a commercial station, because unlike what I was like at the time, I actually picked up the phone and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And I went in, they hired me and trained me there. But that doesn't happen much anymore. And so I really like the idea of, introducing kids to this and giving people a taste of it. And I just think it's a great program.
So you're actually a paid mentor, is what you're
I guess that kind of is a good way to put it. Yeah, that's
nice
true.
gig.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm jealous.
Thank you. I sure like it so far. It's been great. And, I've trained a lot of kids over the years in internship positions, college kids and high school kids in radio stations, and I've really enjoyed doing that. So it's kind of fun to take that to the next level and
One thing,
make it official.
It's pretty amazing. I've seen a couple of stations in Northern California, and it's amazing how they've, people think, oh, it's, public radio, but, I mean, it's not that far away. Well, especially now in this day and age. When I was at KRVM, I mean, we were doing, turntables, and they had old boards and playing some cool music. It's pretty close to what you find at an actual commercial station. Not an actual, but a...
It's similar in a lot of ways. From equipment situation, things like that, it's very similar. I mean, we're well set up. We've got the same sort of system we have here. It's on the air 24 hours a day. The difference, like I was saying earlier, is the volunteers. Part of my new duties over there is kind of coordinating volunteers, and there are actually 30 people that volunteer to be on the air there every week. There are 30 people that are on the air every single week.
Not students.
Not students. The
Right.
students are on in the afternoons, and volunteers pretty much cover the rest of the time. So,
What do you see as, in your initial trainings, what do you see is going to be the most difficult for you as you take over?
that's a good question. I don't really know. I think that's just going to kind of unfold.
So the way you're supposed to answer that is, well, nothing.
That's what I meant to say, yeah.
Yeah, nothing. I don't. Challenges? No. I've got this under control. That's what you're supposed to say.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Next time I come in, I'll do that.
Right.
Thank you.
Just keep that in mind.
I'll have a better handle on it.
Yeah,
next
whatever
time.
you do, don't show weakness.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought you were going to go the fundraising route, as far as having to do that a couple times soon.
That is something completely new, and that's something I'm totally unfamiliar with. I mean, we do our own fundraising in commercial radio, too. We just do it a little differently.
Yeah, we call it commercials.
Exactly. And with KRVM, basically, it's the school district owns the station, but they don't provide any funding for it. KRVM is completely self-funded by people who call in during our fundraisers, or outside of that even. You can donate anytime you want to.
That puts some pressure on.
Yeah, a little bit. Business underwriters are another big part of it, and then fundraising events like we've got one coming up this weekend.
What's the difference between an underwriter and an actual advertiser?
We can't sell advertising per se on a public station. What they do is they sponsor what we're doing, and in return for that, we thank them for it, mention basics about their business, but we don't get into great detail about why you should go there. It's basically, we are thanking this business for sponsoring us, for making this possible. And if you'd like to show your appreciation for that by going there, that'd be wonderful.
And you're just saying that right now.
I am, yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of the mindset there. And then 3 times a year we do on-air fundraisers with listeners, and like I say, then fundraising events.
All right, do you know if anybody out there has a great show idea? Are you taking new...
We do actually take suggestions
volunteers?
for shows. There's a process if people, and this is stuff, like I say, I've only been there a few days. I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. But there is there is a process. If somebody has an idea for a show they'd like to do, there is a process to get it rolling and get it discussed and potentially put in the works.
What's coming up this weekend?
This weekend is a fundraiser. It's
go figure.
Yeah, it's the KRVM Radio Run, and it's the first time we've tried to do this particular kind of an event.
Ooh.
And it's a 5K run and a 1K fun run or walk at Alton Baker Park, Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. You can register online at our website, which is krvm.org. Do that before noon tomorrow, and you'll save $5. Or you can show up the morning of the event. Runs at 9. Show up between 7:30 and 8:30. You can register there. So there's
you lucked
still
out
time.
with the weather.
Yeah, it's going to get nice, isn't it?
So do you get any kind of like special T-shirt and finger foods or anything like that?
Yeah, basically the winners get Sport Hill put together special hats for the event for all the winners of each individual division. And there's 6 divisions ranging from under 15 to over 60. And basically there's also...
it's got to be a run shirt too, right? Because people collect those.
No, it's just a hat. He just said hat.
Well, for the winner.
Basically, if you wanted the shirt, you had to order that when you're pre-registered before now because they're printing the shirts today.
Yeah.
So you had to be on top of your game if you wanted the shirt. Yeah, it's okay.
So, Rob, what you need to do is go out there, run, win, and then you'll get a complimentary hat.
I'll get a hat.
And finger food.
Yes, finger food indeed. Refreshments are from Capella Market. They are providing the snacks. McKinsey Mist providing water for everybody. And there's also a bunch of raffle prizes, other edibles and things like Cafe Mom, Full City Coffee, Doug's Nuts, Grizzlies brand granola, Cafe Yum, Burrito Amigos.
Yeah!
Yeah, you might just have to come sign up, Bill. Oh, wait, I guess you're already pretty well set there, aren't you? Yeah.
Well, but yeah, I don't have any of Doug's Nuts.
That's true.
That's not what I heard.
I don't know. Rob, on the other hand, Rob is also nutless.
Oh, well, glad we can help. Please come out and join us Saturday
morning. You're going to be out there kind of emceeing the whole thing?
I am going to be out there. I'm going to actually be one of the finish line judges.
Oh.
Yeah. So that should be kind of fun. I
See,
feel kind
isn't
of
it
important.
cool being the boss?
Yeah.
You can just stand there and go, yep, he won. No, he lost.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. No, I think it'll be a fun event, and it's all staffed by volunteers too, of course. And but it should be very good.
We actually have 2 of the 15, I'll call them 15, that do a show with you or for KRVM on Sunday nights.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Zimmers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Blake
Okay.
and Melissa.
Yes, indeed. I got to meet them the other night at our event.
Yeah, he's over here sitting here going, I don't know who he's talking about. What? What's who? What?
Now I do.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very nice people.
Besides not showing weakness, you have to know how to cover.
Yeah, true.
The way you go, oh, yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are, but they're awesome.
In my 39 years of radio, I've never done talk radio. I don't have these skills.
Okay.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Politics is not for you either.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Because
I get in trouble quick in politics.
Yeah, you got to lie and be all smooth and stuff.
Yeah.
What else? What did we miss? KRVM.
Basically, that's the event this weekend, and it's the first one we're trying. If it works out, great, which we're hoping it will. I guess initial response has been very good. Then we'll do it again next year. But
how much is it to run?
To run, it is. I'm going to have to check my notes here. Registration's $20. There's a discount for under 17 or 60 plus. It's just $15. That's advanced registration. That goes up $5 day of the event.
So if they get there, I thought you said noon tomorrow.
Noon tomorrow is the deadline for registering online.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, you've got to register at the actual event, and then the price goes up $5.
Come out and you get a 5K. Is there a walk and run?
Yeah, there's a 5K run and a 1K fun run and walk. So pretty much anybody of any ability can get out there and take part in this and have some fun.
And you're helping the radio station.
You're helping the kids.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to see. I was telling you guys earlier, I think just fun to see how quickly the kids develop in this program, too. When they walk in, that first day of class, when I went over there and I hung out the first day of class, even though I wasn't working there yet, I wanted to see how it went on the first day, because next time I'll be the only one there doing that. And they come in and they're kids, but they're kind of meek and everything, and just not sure about the whole thing. And by this point in the term, it's 2-3 weeks in, they come and it's like, let's go be on the radio. And it's so nice to see that. You just see the skill level developing there with these kids with their communication skills. I think knowing that, gee, what we say, thousands of people are going to hear, we better think about it. And it just, it's a confidence builder for them. And even if they're don't pick a career in radio, it's still a good exposure, good experience for them, I think. So.
My time at KRVM Churchill was awesome, and there was a core of us that were just obsessed with radio. There was a couple of people that were equally obsessed, but you could tell that how athletics people talk about that. It keeps people engaged and going to school.
Yes.
There was a couple of people that told me, kind of, aside, that if it wasn't for KRVM, they would have dropped out, of school, years before.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing. It was so fun. It was great.
Nice. And I know a lot of people like you that got their start there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people that are, have good careers that actually in radio now.
But don't hold that against them.
Right. There you go.
Go help them with a run or a donation. I mean, if people can't do the run, but they want to donate.
People can just donate anytime. Like I say, we have the 3 fundraisers a year, where we specifically go on the air and say, now would be a great time to donate. But if if somebody's listening, here's a show they really like and wants to support it, they can call anytime and make a donation.
Hey, and if you're one of the 15, Lloyd and Melissa Zimmer do the Sunday night swing shift. So send them money.
Yes.
They're awesome.
They are very nice people.
They're a part of the 15.
Yes, and I listened to Swing Shift last weekend. It was very good. It's the first time I'd actually heard the show. And so, can I mention our sponsors for the event?
No.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, you can.
Go for it.
Okay, thanks. Help You Sell, Cause Your Activity app, Ramjack, Schlesinger and de Villeneuve, and Shoeaholic are the official title sponsors.
What was the last one? Shoeaholic?
Shoeaholic.
I don't think I know them.
Really? Well, I'm glad I could help.
Yeah.
And they're official sponsors of the KRVM Radio Run inaugural edition.
Well, very
this Saturday.
cool. Well, hopefully it goes well enough that you're able to do annual events, and hopefully it raises a ton of dough for you guys.
It would be nice.
So good luck on it.
Yeah, keep us posted too.
I will definitely do that.
Don't be a stranger.
I won't. Thanks for letting me come in and be on the show. It's great. After all these years, it's nice to be sitting
To
here.
actually be on the show with
exactly.
us. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it usually takes for somebody in the building to be on the air with us. They have to leave,
right?
And then we let them come back and talk to us.
We even have a barbecue for you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Stu Allen, former, and you'll hear his voice all over the day because we still have him on our commercials. I'm glad we don't have a retainer where we have to redo all the commercials that your voice is on.
That could be a problem.
That would have been busy. 7:39 News Radio 1120 KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. A nice surprise on jobs is failing to lift stocks after a 2-day rally. The Dow down 5 points, the Nasdaq down 9, and the S&P down 2. Stocks are easing back from their highest levels in 4 months. New jobless claims took a surprise dip in March to the lowest level for the month since 1973. And the cost of living minus food and fuel rose by less than forecast in March, keeping inflation well below what the Fed is looking for as it considers interest rate hikes. Banks led stocks to a midweek rally as investors cheered better than expected results from J.P. Morgan Chase, and there are more bank earnings this morning. Bank of America's results missed expectations by just a little. Wells Fargo beat. Cheap fuel is making up for weak demand at Delta. The airline turned in a better than expected profit last quarter. Jet fuel is cheaper than it's been in more than a decade, and that's helping airlines rake in record profits. I'm Adrienne Mitchell, Bloomberg Radio.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene-Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
Is it time to sell your house, and do you have work that needs to be done first, but you don't have the money? The bottom line is that when you improve your property, you get more money than other homeowners.
Over the years, Harpole Real Estate with Keller Williams Realty understands this better than any other agent or company because they outsell all other agents. Eric, Jeanette, and their entire team will put up their own money to make sure you get the most out of your house. Their enhanced listing will help clean up, repair, and upgrade your home to get you in the best position to maximize your home sale. Everyone's situation is different, so call for a free no-pressure consultation, 541-286-3030.
Unlike other agents, they offer flexible commissions and an exclusive enhanced listing, and you can cancel at any time. With agents in Lane, Douglas, and Lynn counties, call Harpole Real Estate, 541-286-3030. 541-286-3030, online at harpolehomes.com.
So, Dave, would you say your lawn is army green or hunter green?
I'd say more shamrock green.
Wow,
greenest green I've ever seen.
Thanks to new Ironite from Pennington. It's loaded with iron and turned my yellow lawn to green. Fast. It's a green machine.
I'm jealous, but that means more mowing.
No way. Ironite greens without the growth surge other fertilizers cause, so I relax and enjoy the green.
Well, I'm turning green with envy.
Better to turn green with Ironite.
New Ironite from Pennington. Turn your yellow lawn greener than green without extra mowing.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, or smoking. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. If lines are busy, try again. Dial 1-800-663-1502. That's 1-800-663-1502. 1-800-663-1502.
ALS is a tough disease to fight. Relentlessly progressive, we have no therapy for it. And virtually everyone who gets the disease ultimately succumbs to it. How do we stop this? How do we break through ALS? The ALS Therapy Alliance has been instrumental in discovery and treatment. The issue is being willing to take risks where we think there's a very high payback. We are a team of fighters. Randy is a fighter. Help us break through ALS. Thank you.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out in the next few minutes or you're already out and about, we have moderate showers on the radar. It's part of the storm system that moved in last night and brought severe weather to the coast as well as several lightning strikes. The core of that system is now moving through the area. That means showers off and on throughout your day. Now, if you're headed out in the next few minutes, temps right now are in the upper 30s to low 40s out there. We have mostly cloudy skies, winds out of the south at 10 to 20 with a few gusts up to 25 and storms on radar. This afternoon, that core will continue to push through the region. That means mostly cloudy skies dominate. Showers off and on throughout the day, as well as the possibility of a few isolated thunderstorms into the afternoon as we start to warm up. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s out there. Winds will stay south at 10 to 15 with a few gusts up to 20. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day, and by the weekend, sunny skies and warm temps.
The top stories and the most in-depth local coverage.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for your listening and dancing enjoyment,
The Wake Up Call with Holloway in London. News Radio 1120 KPNW.
KPNW 745. If you're heading down I-5, milepost 109, 11 miles north of Canyonville, the southbound lane's affected by some high water. And I have a feeling there's going to be some other situations like that that haven't been reported, where you got standing water and a little bit of flooding pretty much all over, because it is coming down. If you're headed east, say from Eugene, Springfield, I-5, the passes look pretty frosty, getting some white stuff and looks pretty slick. So if you can wait, hold that transportation off for a while, you might save yourself a little slipping and sliding.
By the way, just looking to the north, I'm having one of those Wizard of Oz flashback moments. That's a nasty-looking cloud out there. I wonder if we do actually end up seeing the thunder and lightning today. We haven't had a good lightning storm here in a while. We need to have at least a good thunder boomer and have Mother Nature hose down the parking lot. Although that was going on this morning. You just missed it. So we're waiting right now for Eben Brown to give us a call. Eben Brown is the Fox News correspondent that has been following the CDC and in particular the Zika virus story. And the CDC yesterday making an announcement. I don't think it came as a surprise to anybody. But it was kind of the stamp of confirmation. And so we're going to talk about Zika virus coming up here in just a couple of minutes here on News Radio 1120 KPNW as soon as we can get Eben on the line. It's kind of nice having Stu back in. And, you know, if you can, just throwing a shout out to KRVM. It's great that that the school district has this station. It's not paying for it with tax dollars. It's just donations. And, you know, if you go out there and if you're one of those folks that likes to go out and run, a great way to go out and support your habit, and also, help support the kids too. They're just kind of getting their foot in the door and maybe finding out that they really do have a career in broadcasting. Joining us now on the Wake Up Call, Eben Brown from Fox News. Eben, thanks for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, okay, yesterday, finally, the CDC came out and made some confirmations of information that we already thought we knew. What is the importance? What was the announcement, and what was the importance of it?
Well, the announcement yesterday was there's now medical proof that Zika is, in fact, the cause of these spikes in cases of microcephaly, which is birth defects of a newborn baby, predominantly the skull and brain. And before it had been correlated, but now it is decidedly so that Zika is the cause. And what this means really going forward is that they really urge caution with regard to mosquito control and personal mosquito control, and travel to places in South America and the Caribbean where Zika is really in a heavy outbreak because of the danger to babies in the womb. So even though a woman who may not be pregnant yet gets infected, if she becomes pregnant after that, she can still the virus can still affect the baby. Men can transmit it sexually to women, so men who travel also need to be careful as well.
How long, when we say that it's sexually transmitted, how long, or does the CDC know how long that virus lives in men and how long they can actually transmit it?
That is still unknown, which is why they are urging extreme caution, the use of prophylactics, especially if one has traveled to these areas. It is also possible to get tested, both men and women, to see if you have it, and this way you can plan accordingly, because if a couple is planning on having children, but one person is infected, it would not be a good time. It would be more prudent to wait, probably about a few months, really, to see and be retested to see if the virus is still active.
Is anyone from the CDC or the government saying how long they believe it's going to be until we have, and this is maybe kind of the wrong way to put it, our own indigenous cases? In other words, how long it's going to be until it actually migrates and becomes just another...
Well, we already have a lot of travel-acquired cases of Zika infection here in the United States. We've even had a birth to an infected woman, and the child did have the birth defects that was in Hawaii. So it is here in the U.S. We are coming to the summer months, especially in the southeast. It's already nice and warm, and the mosquito that transmits Zika already lives here in the United States. And so it is possible that if someone who has acquired Zika overseas comes back to the U.S. and then is bitten by one of these mosquitoes, that mosquito then has the ability to transmit it. So we do, however, have excellent sanitation and mosquito control compared to many other places, especially in Latin America. So the spread by mosquito would likely be somewhat curbed, but it is quite possible that it will happen, and that's why there is not only the urging for safe sex and proper mosquito control by municipalities, but also personal mosquito control and personal property mosquito control. That means for yourself, stay covered up, wear insect repellent. If you own property, get rid of standing water, which attracts mosquitoes, and it's where they breed. If you're indoors and you're in air conditioning, you're probably fine. Mosquitoes don't like the cold very much. So there are things you can do, but the public does need to be aware that Zika is now believed definitely to be the cause of these birth defects, and they have been numerous. There have been thousands of babies born in Brazil with this deformity, and it is harsh. It does cause the child to suffer. And it is expected their lives will not be long, but however long they live will be filled with true pain, and also they will need round-the-clock care, which comes at both an economic expense as well as an emotional expense to the family.
And you just took us to the next point. Eben Brown, by the way, from Fox News, joining us on the Wake Up Call, talking about the CDC's announcement yesterday that Zika does cause microcephaly and other birth defects. Has anybody sat down with a calculator and said, this is what it's going to cost us on an annual basis to deal with this issue, if nothing else, just in terms of, pest and mosquito control?
Well, we already do a lot of what it needs to be done, so it's just a matter of ensuring that it is done, or perhaps maybe certain areas need to step up their game a bit more. But what is probably more prevalent or pressing is the need to perform research to develop some type of either a vaccine or treatment for Zika, and that is what is going to cost money in the short run. There has been some leftover money, about $500 million, from the Ebola money that was allocated in previous years. That is now being reappropriated for Zika research and response. The White House is asking for close to $2 billion with a B more. Congress has not yet approved that. It's sort of causing a little bit of a back and forth between the White House and the Congress. But the money that needs to be spent should be spent probably on research and also prevention, providing, and especially prevention even outside of our country, where we can assist other countries, especially some countries that are not as well developed in providing people with mosquito repellent and civil engineering technology that would help them with controlling their mosquito populations.
Eben Brown on the Wake Up Call. Eben, before we let you go, so what's going to be what's on your beat today? What story are you going to be looking at and covering today?
Well, today, at least for me, we're following up on the case from the CDC about Zika. We're also looking into the fact that Donald Trump's campaign manager will likely not be prosecuted for his alleged battery of a female reporter at a campaign stop in Florida, and that's what's on my palette today.
All right. Sounds like a fun day.
You got it.
Hey, Eben, thanks again. We appreciate it. You take care.
All right, take care.
All right. Eben Brown from Fox News. That's cool. Well, let's see. What am I doing today? I'm following disease and an assault case. Oh, all right. That sounds like a fun day.
Alleged assault.
Okay, alleged assault. Yeah. But still, it sounds like a fun day. See, folks always... they always ask, well, okay, so when you get off the air, you go home, right? Like, well, no. But I would love to just have a day where all I had to do, where all I had to do was just follow a couple of things. I mean, what goes on in a radio station is not carping. It's just the way that it is. There's a bunch of stuff that has to happen so that this thing just stays on the air. It just doesn't happen automatically, and there's not a group of elves that help make that happen. It's, Rob goes and does his thing on KDUX so that they're on the air and doing what they do, and there's all this other stuff that goes on. And I would love to have a day where, okay, so today, Bill, you're covering disease and an assault. Right on. I'm there. That just sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, well, I'll be over here talking to the CDC, and then I'm going to go listen to somebody's excuses. Sounds like a good day. Don't you think that sounds like fun?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was what you were doing and you didn't have to come back and do 40 other jobs.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Just what he's doing there, he's living the dream.
And probably doesn't even realize it.
Possibly.
Yeah.
You're possibly right.
All right, hour number 3 coming up. Don't forget, 1120kpnw@gmail.com. Getting some great email action today. If you want to add yours to the count, love to hear from you. Thunderstorms, breezy, and a high up there, 60-ish. News Radio 1120 KPNW.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Listen to In the Garden with Mike Darcy this Saturday, 9 to noon, for gardening tips that'll help make your garden bloom. Listen to the experts or call in with your own questions. Sponsored by Plant Fashions Plus, superior plants grown by gardeners for gardeners on Jasper Road in Springfield.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Recently, I told you that the whole us versus them theme that's infected the current political landscape is actually grounded in truthiness instead of real data. Truthiness is a term coined by comedian Stephen Colbert that means something that seems true without any critical examination of facts, logic, or evidence to prove that it is. It's just because it feels right. Truthiness is often used to obscure reality and manipulate your instincts, emotions, and actions, like voting, for instance. Now consider income inequality. Truthiness has framed this as the 1% versus the 99, meaning the 1% of the population with the highest incomes versus all the rest of us. Of course, mathematically, there is a 1%, but the real problem of inequality of income, wealth, and more importantly, opportunity is not split 99 to 1. It's more like a 25-75% divide, according to research done by the Center for Household Financial Stability at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Here's the nugget. Unlike the Open Market Committee, where Janet Yellen and others set interest rates, this part of the Fed is pretty much politically neutral. Their research shows that it's the top 25% of the population that controls most of our wealth. But that doesn't have quite the same ring as 1% when it comes to making people angry. More soon. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
Real news. Not the fake stuff. Britney Spears makes no apologies. The morning wake-up call with Holloway in London on 1120 KPNW. The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are going nowhere after reaching new highs for the year at midweek. The Dow up just 8 points, the Nasdaq down 6, and the S&P down a fraction. Technology companies are doing a little worse than the rest. A major producer of disk drives reveals how much a global slump in personal computer sales is hurting the company. Seagate Technology says it did not predict the weaker demand it saw during the latest quarter. Shares are tumbling 19%. Organizers of the Fight for 15 campaign are holding more protests at McDonald's restaurants around the world today to push for higher wages for fast food workers. If you haven't noticed, McDonald's is doing away with wraps. You're part of the reason. Most McDonald's locations have phased out snack wraps and larger McWraps since last summer. They never caught on with customers. The franchisees don't miss them because they took so long to assemble. I'm Adrienne Mitchell, Bloomberg Radio.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. He was ambushed, shot from behind. The deputy constable now out of surgery in Houston, Texas. Fox's Evan Brown has more details live.
Dave Alden Clopton, who is a Harris County, Texas deputy constable, is now in critical care after a harrowing night. May Walker is the precinct's constable.
There were 6 shots fired. 2 of them were, one was in the car and one was toward the ground. 4 of them hit him.
One of the bullets is lodged next to Clopton's heart. He was wearing a bulletproof vest and is expected to recover. A person of interest is now being questioned, Dave.
Now, Eben, a police officer was also shot early this morning in Austin, Texas. He's in stable condition.
The suspect was believed to be engaged in narcotics trafficking and narcotic sales.
Police Chief Art Acevedo says that accused gunman is in custody. A new CBS poll gives Donald Trump a 13-point lead over Ted Cruz among Republicans nationally. He has a much bigger lead in New York before Tuesday's primary, and the 2 congressmen who support Trump are trying to help on delegates. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Trump-friendly Republican lawmakers sat down with representatives from his presidential campaign to crunch the delegate numbers. Donald Trump has said the party's rules for allocating delegates is unfair and disgusting. Republican Congressman Chris Collins, who supports Trump, admits the rules are the rules, but adds,
I can tell you the everyday American doesn't like those rules.
Congressman Steve King supports Ted Cruz.
I'm glad Ted Cruz is playing by the rules and he's not complaining about the rules.
Even with the RNC rules, the Trump campaign believes he can reach the 1,237 delegates needed to clinch the GOP nomination. Dave.
Rachel, Japan's been rocked by an earthquake, a magnitude 6.
It's a shallow quake and appears to be felt quite widely within the epicentral area.
Randy Baldwin with U.S. Geological Survey. There are no reports of casualties, but some houses collapsed around Kyushu, and there are fears of people trapped inside. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
An unhealthy spine often starts with bad habits. Poor movement patterns and posture can damage the spine or throw it out of alignment. Over time, these bad habits can injure lumbar discs or cause them to wear out prematurely. The physicians at Neurospine Institute are experts in diagnosing painful back problems. They'll work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure the best care and treatment for your unique situation. Our team of neurosurgeons, pain management specialists, and physical therapists will evaluate your back problem and develop a treatment plan and help you get your life back.
Are you living with chronic pain? The specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
It's been 2 years since Boko Haram Islamic terrorists kidnapped Nigerian schoolgirls. Trying to find and rescue them was a big global rallying cry right afterward, but most remain missing.
More tragedy. The head of a local community group in Chibok, Nigeria, where 276 schoolgirls were snatched by the Islamist terror group Boko Haram 2 years ago today, reports that 14 of the girls' parents have died while waiting to see their daughters again. With 219 of the girls still missing, 3 of the mothers broke down when they recognized their daughters on a proof-of-life video shown to them by Nigerian authorities. Calling for their release, a UN envoy said, "Give them back the life they deserve." In Johannesburg, Paul Tilsley, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the Dow's up 15 points. Earlier, there was news on inflation. Consumer prices rose barely last month, up 0.1%. 73 and 60. The 2 magic numbers in the NBA last night as the Warriors set a record and Kobe has one last great game. Fox's Jared Max was at the Golden State historic win, now live in the Bay Area.
It was difficult to digest that 370 miles south of Oakland, there could possibly be a larger event taking place in the NBA on the same night. Oracle Arena felt like an intimate party for 20,000 friends who watched their favorite team from the Golden State dominate. Result never in question. Warriors beat the Grizzlies by 21 to secure their historic 73rd victory. One more win than Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls managed 20 years ago. And while Stephen Curry scored 46 points for the Warriors, he wasn't the highest scorer in California. It was Kobe Bryant, who ended his 20-year pro career in style, scoring 60 points. And in a season that featured the most losses in L.A. Lakers history, Kobe's team went out with a win. Dave?
Thank you, Jared. There was a big trade in the NFL 2 weeks before the draft. The Tennessee Titans sent the top overall pick to the Los Angeles Rams, getting 6 Rams draft picks in return. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Wet, windy, pretty gray out there. In some parts, pretty dark gray. 15 to 25 miles per hour. They're talking about the wind. 40% chance of showers and 40 coming up tonight. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and 62 for a Friday. Saturday and Sunday, getting some more sunshine and highs getting close to 70. A situation, just to kind of throw this out there, on Beltline eastbound, got one lane affected at milepost 7.75. Delays in place. We were kind of escaping throughout the morning with things kind of in and around other parts, but now we have that situation. And I'm not sure, but I would think that there would be a good chance you might encounter, depending upon how lengthy your travels, some standing water and some potential flooding out there. It's been coming down all night, all morning. So it's a bit wet out there, so just be careful. Again, Beltline 7.75. We got the eastbound, at least a lane affected with the crash. And then they were talking about the construction down near Sutherland. Still some slow going as you go south of Sutherland on I-5. Everything else seems to be fairly copacetic. Let's hope that continues. Can you imagine how the conservatives, the Republican people of the country are going to feel if they go through this whole, it's been a long election. The campaigns coming throughout, and the candidates out there breaking their backs to hit every state and shake every hand. If they get to the convention and somebody else materializes, I know it's not going to be Raya, but somebody else. I mean, that right there, I think, would be such a strike, and that they would have felt so burned.
Oh, it's like the conversation we had this morning. The RNC seems hell bent for leather to try and figure out a new, creative, and spectacular way of committing suicide. I mean, really, you're right. If they do, why don't you just go ahead and just pack your body with dynamite and then just go out and set yourself off? That's what it's going to be like for the RNC. And it amazes me that they are as tone deaf as they are in those regards. It's like they don't get it. They don't understand. And maybe it is that they do understand, but the money, they're thinking, it's the money. The money is saying this is what we must do. We must do this for the money, because if we lose this money, but what they don't realize that in the process they're going to lose everything.
Lose a bunch.
They're tone deaf.
Yeah. Coming up, Gary Connolly, the president of Connolly Capital, and of course we'll touch on some news of the day too.
Yeah, we'll have these stories coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll follow up on the story of the shooting at Emerald Park. Also, a couple of other shootings in the area. One that Springfield police are saying could be gang-related. We'll also follow up on a story of tax fraud in the IRS and one Oregon senator that says enough's enough in those regards. We'll have those stories, including a story from Eastern Oregon dealing with a couple of students who wanted to create their own Columbine. Those stories and more are coming up, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones here on KPNW.
Live and local. News time 8:09.
Burrito Amigos salutes the letter T. In English, T usually denotes the voiceless alveolar plosive, as in the words tap and tame, or taco, torta, and tostada, which really aren't English words, but if you're going to use examples, they should be delicious. And if they start with a T and they come from Burrito Amigos, well, they are. Now you can have your tortas, tacos, and tostadas with chicken, shredded beef, carne asada made with certified black Angus, or adobada, an amazing, spicy, tasty grilled pork. And none of those selections have the letter T, but Carnitas does. So if you're a voiceless alveolar plosive purist, then you'll enjoy that in your Burrito Amigos torta, taco, and tostada. In case you're wondering, a torta is sort of a grilled sandwich made on torta bread. Tamales and taquitos are also delicious Burrito Amigos T words. So is tofu, which some people want in their burritos from Burrito Amigos. Burrito Amigos, they didn't invent the letter T, they just made examples using it more delicious. Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, working their way through the alphabet, one tasty treat at a time.
When the sun comes out, the critters are up and moving. SM Gun Shop wants you to be ready. Get a head start on varmint season with huge savings on Black Hills 223 plus special wall-to-wall pricing. It's only at SM Gun Shop on River Road in Eugene, Lane County's most established gun store.
When you clean out your garage or storage shed, there's a good chance you'll find some hazardous products to dispose of. Paint, pesticides, solvents and fuels are items you may want to get rid of. They need special handling and disposal. Fortunately, Lane County residents have access to convenient and free hazardous waste disposal services. To make an appointment for disposal or to get more information, just call 682-4120. This message is sponsored by Lane County Public Works in association with Eugene area radio stations. Ears. At home and around the world, KPNW is there covering the news that's important to you. Your 24-hour news, weather, and information station. News Radio 1120, KPNW. Today's top stories. In depth. This is the Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Tuesday evening, Eugene's Emerald Park turned into a crime scene. It was triggered by a 31-year-old, Orlando Centino. The events unfolded as John Mills, Kane Barnett,
and a group of friends gathered to have a friendly barbecue at the skate park. According to witnesses, Mr. Centino approached the group incensed after he had a fight with his girlfriend.
He lives adjacent to the park, and he entered into some kind of disagreement with subjects at the park, and then ultimately the disagreement got a little more heated, and then Centino produced a firearm.
Captain Spence Slater says that's when Centino started shooting after being confronted by a member of the group. His aim connected with John Mills and Kane Barnett. 21-year-old Barnett was wounded. He was released from the hospital later that night. John Mills never made it that far. He was killed. After the shooting, Centino headed back to his home north of the park, told his girlfriend and children to leave, and then committed suicide. And this wasn't Centino's first run-in with people at the park.
There's other people that frequent the park apparently that he has issues with.
Records show Centino was released from the Lane County Jail last week after being convicted of menacing in connection with an incident at Emerald Park last summer involving him being dressed in camo, a ballistic vest, and armed with a stun gun. Centino also admitted to pointing a shotgun at a man he claimed was threatening him. It's just one of many incidences that are being reported involving Centino as the aggressor. Well, even though 2 people died and 1 was wounded, it could have been much worse on Tuesday.
Where it happened in a park that's frequented by preschool-aged kids.
The shooting occurred around 6 p.m. at a time when parents are coming to the park to pick up their kids at the pool, which is also located on the 9-acre property. A vigil for the deceased victim, John Mills, was attended by 100 people last night. Well, as if that area around Emerald Park wasn't already on pins and needles in the aftermath of that shooting, Wednesday morning, a home in the neighborhood was also hit by bullets during a drive-by. The incident occurred in the 900 block of Park Avenue, just west of River Road. No one was injured, although 1 person was home at the time of the incident. Lane County Sheriff's deputies are investigating. They don't believe the shooting was connected to the park shooting, and they're not sure who the target was in the drive-by. Springfield police are also investigating a shooting they believe could be gang-related. This incident happened near Grenada Park. It left a nearby apartment complex pockmarked with bullet holes. Police were able to recover casings. All police are saying right now is that they have some leads as to who might be responsible, but they are asking for tips and witnesses if there is any in the community. The Eugene City Council has voted in favor of selling some city land on Olive Street. Granite Properties is interested in buying the property for about $70,000 and building a 5-story housing development. Now, for the sale to actually go through, some details are going to need to be worked out. First, it'll require a multi-unit property tax exemption, the so-called MUPTI, that is raised ire with city residents. The most complicated issue is the building would interfere with nearby KLCC and their transmitting antenna. The problem could be dealt with in a few different ways. However, city councilors and the mayor says the KLCC shouldn't have to shoulder that expense. Actually, it doesn't take the city council to say that. The feds would already concur. It's a federally licensed facility. One of the suggestions would be to move the tower to a new building. That would be an intensely time-consuming process requiring a number of steps that the feds call for in case any transmitting site, antenna or otherwise, is moved by a broadcasting facility. Thieves filing fraudulent tax returns are ripping off the government and ruining lives. Brad Ford says an Oregon senator wants to take the IRS to task for not taking the problem seriously.
In 2013, nearly $6 billion that were supposed to go to the federal government went to these thieves, and every year similar amounts are being stolen. But the fraud damages more than the government. It wrecks the credit of the people whose identities are stolen. Senator Jeff Merkley says the IRS needs to take this problem more seriously.
We need to do more to help people from becoming victims in the first place.
Senator Merkley is joining Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota to send a letter to the IRS. They acknowledge the steps the IRS is taking to solve the problem, but say it's not enough. Merkley and Rounds say that the IRS needs to take more steps to increase security and reduce the theft. Brad Ford, KPNW.
The Oregon Court of Appeals ruled that the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office violated a hiring preference law when it failed to give special consideration to disabled military veteran Sergeant Rod Edwards. The sergeant filed a civil rights complaint in 2013 after he failed to win a promotion to lieutenant.
And the Court of Appeals today upheld not only the decision
that they had violated his rights, but the $50,000 that we had ordered the county pay him for the harm that denial had caused him.
Charlie Burr is with the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries and says the verdict could be appealed to the Supreme Court. That said, going forward,
it's important that every veteran that returns from service have a real chance at employment, at advancement within the job, and that they be entitled to the veteran's preference that the law provides for them. And this decision simply reaffirms that right that veterans have.
The problems don't end for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. Another investigation has been opened, determining whether a Lieutenant Brent Ritchie faced unlawful retaliation for whistleblowing. 2 sons of Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy and 3 other men are due to be transferred from Oregon to Nevada, facing charges stemmed from an armed confrontation with government agents 2 years ago. Defense lawyers in Oregon lost a bid for the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to block the move. Lawyers for Hammond Bundy said they've been told arraignments are going to be tomorrow in U.S. District Court in Nevada. Hammond Bundy, Ryan Bundy, Brian Cavalier, Blaine Cooper, and Ryan Payne have been in federal custody in Portland, where they're accused of leading an occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge this year. In Nevada, they're facing conspiracy, obstruction, weapon, and assault charges for a standoff with feds near Bunkerville. Last year's wildfire season set a record with more than 10 million acres burning across the U.S. In Oregon, 631,000 acres burned. It cost the state $240 million to fight those fires. If the weather holds on the west side of the Cascades, 2016, according to Rod Nichols with the Oregon Department of Forestry, could be a different story.
It's too early to tell right now what kind of a fire season we'll have this summer, but we have had better snowpack across the region and also a pretty good rainfall.
Fire season will depend in great part on how fast the snow melts and how soon the forests begin to dry out. Police arrested a pair of LeGrand High School students Tuesday that they say were planning a Columbine-style attack at the school. Police said they received information that the students were talking about the possibility of launching an attack at the school, including targeting staff, students, even law enforcement. Police and school administrators launched an investigation. They determined that a credible threat was there. They conducted interviews, and they arrested the 2 juveniles without incident. They face charges of conspiracy to commit murder. The suspects were taken to a juvenile detention facility. They're awaiting arraignment. U.S. Representative Greg Walden announced the TSA Fairness Act, a bill he authored to restore commercial air service to Crater Lake and Klamath Falls Regional Airport. It unanimously passed the U.S. House of Representatives. SkyWest was serving the regional airport until about 2014. They left, and when they did, the TSA left as well. When Penn Air announced they would provide daily service to the small airport, the TSA said, nope, we're not coming back. Instead, they said, you can reverse screen.
Well, that means you board the 28 or 30 passenger airplane with all your luggage, everything else, and then you fly 236 miles north to Portland, Oregon. Then you deplane on the tarmac, and you come back through like you'd just driven up.
In other words, the screening doesn't happen until you've already flown and landed.
We'll find out what you're carrying, what's in your bags, and then we'll put you on the connecting flight. Does anybody think that's a good security thing? Does anybody think the people who want to do us harm aren't going to figure that gaping hole?
The TSA Fairness Act would require the TSA to restore screening services to any airport that lost service after January 1st and has a guarantee from a commercial airline to pick service up within a year. Currently, 6 airports nationwide are seeking to resume flights after undergoing a temporary gap in service, but they're, like here in Oregon, being denied TSA security screening and personnel. That bill is now headed to the Senate. It's 8:21. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Wins in a regular season, a record that seemed unbreakable, 72 by the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan at the helm. Well, it's got a new name slapped on it, Golden State 73. Last night behind 46 points from Steph Curry on 10 three-point shots. Gave him 402 for the season. By the way, it took Larry Bird 9 seasons to get 400. The Memphis Grizzlies pretty much reduced to spectators in their NBA finale regular season with the Golden State Warriors. Curry talks about the hype over getting 73 when really there's a bigger prize on the line.
For us to keep that playoff kind of mentality and that playoff focus for our ultimate goal, which is obviously championship, these last 2 weeks have been mentally and physically challenging. So I think it's made us better, and we'll be fresh for this weekend.
Golden State ends up winning by over 20. A half state to the south, away in L.A. A fitting exit for Kobe Bryant, who stepped up, busting out for 60 points on 50 shots. Lakers down the Jazz 101-96 when Kobe took the mic after the game.
I can't believe how fast 20 years went by. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. What can I say? Mamba out.
I think he placed the mic down nicely. You got to drop that thing. Portland Trailblazers clinched the 5th seed in taking care of the Nuggets 107-99 at home in front of 19,000 plus at the Moda. Damian Lillard scored 21, giving him a scoring average of 25.1. He joined Clyde Drexler and Kiki Vandeweghe as the only Blazers ever to average more than 25 in a season. Bring on the playoffs. To Oregon golf, Aaron Weiss led after 2 rounds, but the final round at the Western Intercollegiate Pasatiempo Golf Course in Santa Cruz, Maverick McNeely getting the individual and team win for Stanford. McNeely finished 16 under to Weiss's 14 under, third place in the individual 3 under. So it was a pretty much a 2-man battle. Stanford won at 9 under. Ducks were third at 9 over. And the Timbers lost to FC Dallas 3-1. Wake Up Call Sports brought to you by Max Muscle, your authority in sports and nutrition since 1991. Franklin, across from Market of Choice in Eugene. News time 8:23.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out in the next few minutes or you're already out and about, we have moderate showers on the radar. It's part of the storm system that moved in last night and brought severe weather to the coast as well as several lightning strikes. The core of that system is now moving through the area. That means showers off and on throughout your day. Now, if you're headed out in the next few minutes, temps right now are in the upper 30s to low 40s out there. We have mostly cloudy skies, winds out of the south at 10 to 20 with a few gusts up to 25 and storms on radar. This afternoon, that core will continue to push through the region. That means mostly cloudy skies dominate, showers off and on throughout the day, as well as the possibility of a few isolated thunderstorms into the afternoon as we start to warm up. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s out there. Winds will stay south at 10 to 15 with a few gusts up to 20. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day, and by the weekend, sunny skies and warm temps.
I'm not a bodybuilder.
I am not an athlete.
I'm not into health clubs.
I do not eat junk food.
I am not a young man anymore.
I am exercising daily. I am feeling great. I am loving life.
I am Max Muscle. Max Muscle Sports Nutrition, Franklin Boulevard, Eugene.
This winter, we received more rainfall than in the past 75 years. Severe weather could cause damage to your home's foundation. Ramjack can fix that. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com.
CCB 146906.
That's another home run for Oregon. Precision counts, whether it's a big game on the line or your quality of life.
I had excruciating pain in my cheek and jaw, a condition called trigeminal neuralgia. My doctor recommended Sacred Heart Gamma Knife Center.
The physicians used highly focused, precise radiation beams to target the nerve. Game over for Mary's pain in just a few weeks. If you have a brain tumor or episodes of severe facial pain, ask your primary doctor or specialist about Gamma Knife. Visit peacehealth.org/Gamma Knife to learn more.
Built for business. In business, time is money. In business, money is also money. No wonder nearly 1,000 businesses choose Comcast Business Internet over DSL from the phone company every single day. Not only is it up to 5 times faster, it's actually a better value when you go with the fastest plan. So take a minute out of your busy schedule and call Comcast Business. It will be well worth your time and your money. Switch to Comcast Business Internet. Then add voice and TV for just $34.90 a month. And ask about our 2-year price guarantee. Call 800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com. Comcast Business. Built for business.
Offer ends 5/31/16. Restrictions apply. Limited to 1 voice line and private view TV for new customers. 2-year contract required. Requires Comcast Business Internet at an additional monthly charge. Equipment taxes and fees including broadcast TV fee extra. Savings claim based on cost per megabits per second. Compares Comcast 100 megabits per second and 20 megabits per second DSL downloads.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is my profound pleasure to introduce
The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Well, it's a Thursday morning, and it means it's time for a visit from the president of Conley Capital, Gary Conley, joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back. We were kind of chatting yesterday about what we were going to do today, and I had mentioned, let's talk about indicators and different things that people use as indicators as they're putting together a type of analysis, whether you're looking at a type of investment or whether you're looking at kind of more of a macro economic thing of what is the economy going to do? What do people use for their crystal balls? And you were saying that it's interesting because the CIA has actually kind of done some studying on what kind of indicators or what you can use for indicators to try and create an accurate prediction.
They did, and it really depends on who you are and what your experience set is, not necessarily the position that you hold. But the CIA study was actually done back in the 70s and released, a few years ago. And what they determined is that a good experienced analyst, and they weren't talking about, investments or stock market, they were talking about spook stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But that the best people used usually 3 or 4 things in order to make a decision. And if they started to use more than that, they started to second guess themselves, and the decisions actually got worse, not better. Now, again, that's somebody who's experienced at something and got a lot of background. So, and if you think about it, we don't have to be talking about investing or the economy or anything else out there. I mean,
right.
Virtually everybody is good at something, right?
Right.
Okay, so if you think about what you're good at, and think about how you make decisions surrounding that. Typically, your best decisions are, with a few data points and a gut or an intuition that's really based on your experience over time. So, what you might use in terms of making decisions for investments really depends on who you are and what you're trying to do. Now, fast forward from the 70s to now, and a lot of decisions are made by machines.
Right.
And I don't think that machines necessarily make better decisions with fewer data points. But you have to remember that some human wrote the algorithm or wrote the program that causes them to analyze the data. Although one step further, there is, in fact, one little startup company that we've got I've got an interest in on the board of directors of, has actually got a patent application on some of this. But the machines can learn, too. They learn from their past mistakes. So, but anyway, back to, most people are not using machine learning in order to make their investment decisions or make any kind of decisions. And so, really, you can really bollocks yourself up if you've got too much data or if you're trying to consider too many things.
Well, I would assume you just kind of get into data lock. What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? You get too much of it. It just seems like you get overloaded with it. And you would second guess just about everything that you...
Yeah, you've made a decision.
So I would guess then, okay, so you have said analyst that's, again, with the caveat, experienced. The question would be, what kind of sources are they looking for, and why do they decide that these 3 or 4 data points are better predictors than, say, a dozen others?
Well, not necessarily predictors, but better help them make better decisions, again, given their own background and data set. And I think that also comes from experience. I mean, there are a few givens out there at this point that I think nearly everybody follows. One would be the yield on the 10-year Treasury note, which we've talked about before.
Right.
Almost anything that's got an interest rate or a cash return rate is essentially priced off of the 10-year Treasury note. So the 10-year today is yields about 1.8%. It's varied between 2.5 roughly and about 1.65 in the last 52 weeks last year.
Right.
But what's important really, unless you're trading those bonds with a lot of leverage, with a lot of borrowed money, which of course institutional and hedge funds do, is what's the normal spread over treasuries, let's say for a high yield or a junk bond or an REIT, and where are they now at any given time, which means are they cheap to the 10-year bond, are they expensive to the 10-year bond? So that's one thing.
All right.
Okay? Another thing would be the dollar, the currency.
Right.
Because if you look at that, that has a huge impact on all kinds of things, from the price of oil to the price of gold to earnings for corporations, because they have to translate from their foreign business back, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and even with a strong dollar, it means that it's more expensive for other countries to buy our stuff.
Yeah, not only does it more expensive for other countries to buy our stuff, but the flip side of that is that it makes oil cheaper here, more expensive other places. So that's another thing is, where's the dollar? What does that look like over time?
Is there anything that people, all right, you've got the dollar. What are people using as a touchstone, or, what are they comparing it to? Is there any one thing they're comparing the value of the dollar to? Is it just like, for instance, how is it stacking up against the euro? Is it the yen? Is it the won? Is it all of those? None of those? What are they using as a gauge to make decisions based on the dollar?
Well, there are various indexes that you can use. The typical one, if you punched it into your computer, is DXY, or the dollar index. And that's basically loaded toward the other major currencies, the euro, the yen, et cetera. Then if you happen to be interested in what are called emerging markets, not so much China anymore, but things like Brazil, Argentina, India, et cetera, then there are some other indexes that you would use that are the dollar denominated in those currencies too. So that would be what you would follow. The typical thing you would follow would be DXY. The typical thing you would follow for interest rates, if you're going to use that as a factor, is the 10-year Treasury note. Everything basically is priced off of that. Then there's the price of oil is very important. It partly depends on interest rates, more so on the dollar in the short run, the actual price. But the real thing is the supply and demand. And so right now the reason oil prices are where they are is because the daily production, 95, 96 million barrels a day, is about 1.5 million barrels a day above the demand. Now, what's happened there is that those curves will cross again. They will come back into balance, and demand will be greater than supply, and the price will go up, at least for a while. I don't know how far out that is. I don't know whether it's a few months. I don't know whether it's a year or 2 years. But the reason I know it's going to happen is because oil production goes down naturally as you pump oil out of the ground from any given formation or with any well, less and less and less every year. And the other thing I know is that capital expenditures to replace that production at this point look like they're about, in the next couple of years, about $500 billion less than what was projected when oil was $100 a barrel. Now, if you take things like the fracking in the United States, that can be ramped up pretty quickly. But if you take huge projects like Shell pulling out of the Arctic, or BP pulling out of projects and the deep water projects in the Gulf, those things aren't coming back in a short period of time. So you can watch loosely the difference between supply and demand in oil prices and hook that together with the dollar, or rather the supply and demand for oil itself. You've got a little bit of a political problems in there in the Middle East. You hook that together with potential anyway, and tail risks as we've talked about before.
Right.
So if you've got the level of the dollar, you've got the supply and demand for oil, and a little bit of political risk mixed in there. Over the longer term, you've probably got pretty much what you need in order to predict which way the price is going. You don't know the when,
right.
But if you watch the interaction of those things, and you've watched them for a long time, the when which is of course very important, especially if you're constructing an investment. But that's also, something that you will be able to somewhat intuit. And for people who are running mutual funds and things that have to be fully invested, as we talked about before, and who are basically competing on a relative basis, some of this stuff doesn't make quite so much difference. But for somebody out there who's investing his own money and doesn't have to be invested at all, we've talked about having cash, just a few things like this can help you make a good decision, particularly if you're in an area that you actually know something about. Be it real estate, be it oil and gas, be it precious metals, be it the stock market, what have you.
So where do you think things are going?
Where do I think things are going?
Yeah, based on those indicators, where do you think? What do you think is in the offing?
Well, I think right now there are a couple of different things. I think eventually the price of oil will go up from here, because I think all in, you're not going to get more drilling until you get back to about $60 a barrel. Does that mean in the short run it won't go back to 30 or go to 25 first? It could. I don't really know about that. Don't know. I think that the spreads between a 10-year Treasury bond and, let's say, certain REITs or high-yield bonds, junky bonds at this point, is pretty wide by historic standards, but not nearly as wide as it gets in crisis. I mean, typically these sorts of things are kind of expensive. If they're 3.5% over Treasuries, they're kind of cheap. If they're 6.5%, 7% over Treasuries, they ballooned out to about 9%. But in a real crisis, they can go out to 17, 18, 19%. Wow. So that's the point at which you know that things are cheap.
What's the nugget?
Well, I think the nugget is that when you're making your own, you're either evaluating somebody who's going to help you make decisions about your investments, or you're making decisions about anything. It's just good to understand how it is that you're doing it. So that you've got some sense of being grounded instead of just operating in a fog or a vacuum.
All right. Gary Conley of Conley Capital on the Wake Up Call this morning. See you next Thursday.
Okay.
It is 8:40, News Radio 1120, KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Wall Street isn't keeping up the breakneck pace after a two-day rally. The Dow up just 13 points, the Nasdaq down 4, and the S&P down a fraction. The pace keeps picking up in the job market. New applications for jobless benefits fell by 13,000 last week, matching a level seen in March, which was the lowest since late 1973. It was a surprise to economists. A Bloomberg survey had forecast a small rise in initial claims. The cost of living in the U.S. remains low. Consumer prices rose in March, but just 1/10 of a point, half the forecast rise. The higher cost of filling your gas tank was offset by lower prices for groceries and new clothes. Hailstorms in Texas have left some ugly dents in Progressive's profits. The nation's fourth biggest auto insurer says profit fell 13% in the first quarter. The company had $82 million worth of catastrophe losses in March. I'm Adrienne Mitchell, Bloomberg Radio.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene-Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
When you take the train, there's no telling what adventures await you. But that didn't stop us from speculating. Okay, Ben, you tell me what you do aboard Amtrak Cascades. I tell you how your seemingly innocuous decisions ultimately alter the course of your entire existence. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, on the train, do you A, order food, or B, get a drink?
Get a drink.
Nice. Coffee or beer?
Beer me.
Ooh, someone catches your eye. Say hello or find your seat?
Say hello.
She's a Beaver fan. I noticed you wearing a duck hat.
Ugh.
Deal breaker or get her number?
Yeah, sure, get her number.
You get her digits. After 6 months of dating, you adopt a rescue dog and you name her Pork Chop. And 4 months later, you propose on the jumbo screen at the Civil War. She spills her drink on you. Ooh. But says yes. Yay.
Whoa.
Yeah, want to know your kids' names? Amtrak Cascades. See what happens from Eugene to Portland for less than $20 one way. Start your adventure at Amtrak.com/see what happens. Restrictions may apply.
I've been teaching organic chemistry for the last 17 years, so I'm pretty good with complex calculations. But when I started thinking about my retirement, I was pretty stumped. Luckily, I have TIAA as my financial partner. Together, we retrosynthetically analyzed my financial future, which is organic chem speak for we figured it out.
See how we're helping those who do good do well at the new TIAA.org. TIAA, created to serve, built to perform.
What is it about buying a mattress that leaves you feeling violated? Pushy salespeople, fake sales, the walk of shame out of the mattress store? Those days are over. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, co-founder of Helix Sleep, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to helixsleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to helixsleep.com/go and get $50 off your order. That's helixsleep.com/go.
Who doesn't want a shiny new electronic device? Sure, back home there's a garage or a basement full of old electronics that we don't talk about. But old electronics aren't garbage, and they're not useless. They're full of parts and materials that can be recycled into new electronics or donated to some wonderful causes. That flip phone and old computer can still live on. Recycling electronics is the green thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and it's so easy. Log on to greenergadgets.org and enter your zip code to find the recycling center nearest you.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We're tracking moderate showers off and on out there. They're part of the storm system that hit the coast hard last night with lightning and winds up to 50 miles an hour. Now, the cold front moved through last night about 8 or 9 here in town, but the core of the system is now moving through. That's what's generating these showers. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Temps right now look to be in the upper 30s to low 40s with winds out of the south at 10 to 20. As we move through the day, the core of the system will continue to rotate through the area. That gives us a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon with mostly cloudy skies. Highs look to be in the mid to upper 50s with winds coming down a bit out of the south at 10 to 15. Showers look to continue off and on, start to tapering off into your Friday morning, and by the time we reach the weekend, complete opposite. Mostly sunny skies with highs in the 70s and even to the 80s for the weekend. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
The way I'm feeling today, the Tempur-Pedic is beckoning. I can hear its voice from 52 miles away saying, yeah, we need more time together. We need more time together. If you don't have a great mattress, let's say that you've got, it's maybe not even an old mattress. Let's say that you went out and did what a lot of people like my dad would do. Oh, well, this one's $100. Let's get this one. And you begin to realize, well, no, it's not perfect. Well, it's not even close to perfect. Well, it's lousy. Then step up into something, yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more. But keep in mind, if you're going to spend 7-8 hours a day on a piece of furniture, which is what I consider a mattress to be, why are you going to go cheap with it? You know, you see people that spend maybe a couple hours a day in their easy chair and they'll spend upwards of $1,000 on a recliner. And you go, you're only on that 2 hours a day and yet you're going to try and buy the cheapest mattress that you can get. Why wouldn't you spend a little bit more and get an awesome mattress, like, say, a Tempur-Pedic, which is what I have, the Cloud Luxe, if you want to get specific about it, and an adjustable base so that you can do all those things that the recliner can do and a lot more. Check out a great mattress and find out how much your sleep is going to be enhanced with a terrific mattress from Sleep Train. Don't go ordinary. Don't go average. Go above average and get above average sleep. You get what you pay for. So head into Sleep Train, where right now you can save a bunch of money on a great mattress during their interest-free for 3 event that's going on right now.
In Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem, and tell them you're like this with a wake-up call. Your ticket to a better night's sleep. It's Sleep Train.
The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Okay, Beltline looks like it's ship shape, flowing. There's some people there. I was kind of watching on Trip Check that they're there for a little bit longer than they bargained for, but they're moving, so that's a good thing. Now it's kind of navigated its way out to Oregon 36. We got a problem with tree vegetation, some kind of maybe trees down. The eastbound lanes affected on 36, 3 miles east of Swiss Home at milepost 10.5. So there you go. Eastbound again, 10.5 on Highway 36. Just about everywhere you go, there's going to be some standing water potential, slides and flooding. It's a little reckless out there. Don't add to the mix. And just know that you get through today, tomorrow, a little bit better. Next day, even better. 44 degrees and gray and wet at 1120 KPNW.
All right. So if you want to get in on something that we do on a monthly basis, guess what we have coming up? Oh, that's right. We're going to bring you ice cream from Umpqua Dairy. Umpqua Dairy ice cream. Not this Thursday, which would be today, but next Thursday, we're going to be trundling out with an armload of ice cream to deliver it to you and your coworker, buddy, friends, maybe, if you're close. And we're going to just bestow ice cream upon you.
What kind?
Well, ice cream. Good ice cream.
What flavor, though? Oh,
we could be vanilla. It could
surprise.
be chocolate. It will be.
I'll
be honest with you. I don't remember what this month's flavor of the month is.
I like that.
I think
keep them guessing.
That in May, it is Rocky Road. I'm looking forward to that one. Last month was their pistachio, which I was surprised how awesome it was compared to normal pistachio ice cream I've had in the past. Really like a step above.
Ooh.
What is it? What's the flavor?
Caramel cone.
Oh.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so we always bring, some chocolate, some vanilla, and then the flavor of the month, which is caramel cone.
Or caramel, if you say caramel.
So he says caramel, I say caramel. Or caramel.
I say caramel. I just said some people say caramel.
Right. However you say it, it's right, and it's tasty.
And it's free, and it's delicious, and it's delivered.
Yeah, and we deliver it to you. And we even bring cones. So here's what you need to do. If you haven't already done it, email us. And in the subject line, say something like, bring ice cream, Umpqua ice cream, Umpqua Dairy ice cream, something that has ice cream in the subject line. If you've already sent one of your little emails in, we still have it, and you're still in the drawing for this. We'll deliver it sometime shortly after noon, and we'll bring it up for about 15 people. So if you have an office of 200 people, well, guess what? You get to be the friend of about 14 other people and the enemy of 85. So just keep that in mind. It's for up to 15 people. And just email us, 1120kpnw@gmail.com. That's 1120kpnw@gmail.com. On the subject line, put that. Make sure that you include your name, a phone number where we can get a hold of you, and the name of the business is always helpful, because that means we can find you. So please email us and let us know, and who knows, we could be bringing you all sorts of tasty stuff next week. we would like to do that.
So why don't we do this for law enforcement? Why don't we have people go, not everybody, we'll profile and figure out who we think should go to jail. They go to jail, and then they get out, and they can do, whatever crime, because they've already paid for it. So how long you go to jail for, you could do something, on the seriousness of how, your duration in jail. Is that kind of close to what we're talking about when we...
Oh, are you talking about the TSA
We're
thing?
talking about letting them fly and then checking after...
Yeah, it's sort of like that.
So weird.
Yeah, go to jail, then we let you out, and then decide if you've committed a crime.
That's like a punchline to a joke.
Well,
I can't even believe that's really something that
I know. If
discussed.
It wasn't for the fact that they're actually arguing about it on Capitol Hill, they call it reverse check. Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to let you fly, and then once you get there, then we'll check your luggage to see if you have any bombs, guns, poisons, gas, whatever.
Box cutters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's brilliant. One more reason, one more example of the TSA being so good at what they do. That is the dumbest thing ever. I mean, Walden's, I didn't include all of it in the newscast. Walden's little speech on the House floor about that was pretty funny, where he just kind of goes off on it. But, I mean, you think about the ridiculous. So if you're just tuning in, you didn't hear the news, long and short of it, there was an air carrier that was flying out of the Crater Lake Klamath Airport, a little commuter flight. And a company that was doing that daily several times from, Southern Oregon up to the Portland airport. And the TSA was there screening people's stuff and doing cavity searches on 90-year-old women in wheelchairs. And then this carrier said, we're not going to do these flights anymore. So the airport is scrambling to try and find somebody to take over that particular service. Well, they find one, Pan Air. Pan Air says, we will do it. Well, the TSA has already pulled out. And the TSA says, well, no, we're not coming back there to cavity search 90-year-old women in wheelchairs anymore. What you can do is you can do reverse searches where you get on the airplane with all of your stuff, and then you fly almost 300 miles to Portland, and then when you get off the airplane, then they'll check your luggage. Oh. No.
That's going to cause the paranoid folk out there to either not to travel or to travel and be completely stressed out.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about, let's be honest here. You can say whatever you want to about, profiling is bigoted. I guarantee you there's going to be half the people on one of those flights. You get somebody on there that even looks remotely Middle Eastern, and they're going to be, they didn't check that guy's luggage. They didn't check that guy's luggage. And they're going to be staring at him. And he's going to be, or she is going to be feeling nervous because everybody's staring, and they're going to know what people are thinking. And that's going to affect the way that they're acting, trying to look nonchalant. And then can you imagine that whole feedback loop that's going on there? I mean, it's just like by the time they land 45 minutes to an hour later, everybody's head's going to be ready to explode. It's just, the TSA is... One person writes, this whole thing is funny as hell, bombs away. Yeah. And Walden makes a pretty important point. So, do you think the people that really want to do something, like your diaper bomber guy or the guy that decided he was going to blow up his shoes, well, once they figure out that there's a bunch of airports. The TSA just says, oh, you go on, you just fly up to another airport and get checked there. Like they're not going to figure that out eventually? Yeah.
It's like the honor system.
Yeah.
It's like the honor system.
Maybe that's what they could do before as they're getting on the airplane. Do you take an oath not to blow this airplane up? I do. So help you God? So help me Allah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hop on. Good deal. All right. Have a nice flight. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for flying Pen Air. All right. So let's say that you had a bunch of medical bills that came up and they pretty much wiped you out. It is very easy to have happen. Particularly if, you have something serious that goes on. Maybe a couple of people in your family end up with who knows whatever. And it can just run you over the coals. And as a result, your credit goes down the tank. So you're working, you're driving every day, going back and forth to work, and guess what? The Subaru broke down, or the Ford, or the whatever. Now you've got to try and get a vehicle, but you don't have credit because everything went gunny bags because, a loved one ended up sick. At Guarantee Discount Chevrolet, they have the Good Person's Bad Credit Program. If you're one of those good people and you have bad credit, they can get you into a quality vehicle in 48 hours or less. Call them, 541-998-2333. Guarantee Discount Chevrolet.
When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
Local, family-owned Mazama is your fishing headquarters with brands like G. Loomis, St. Croix, Shimano, Daiwa, and a variety of locally made products tailor-made for this region. Team Mazama is eager and knowledgeable.
Plus, they offer layaway on firearms and fishing gear.
Pick up your hunting and fishing license while you're there. Conveniently located on West 11th in the same parking lot as Lowe's. Get to Mazama and get hooked on the good life. When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
Listen to In the Garden with Mike Darcy this Saturday, 9 to noon, for gardening tips that'll help make your garden bloom. Listen to the experts or call in with your own questions. Sponsored by Plant Fashions Plus, superior plants grown by gardeners for gardeners on Jasper Road in Springfield.
Over 300,000 veterans have received the care and benefits they've earned because Paralyzed Veterans of America was there. If you need help with a claim or just navigating the system, contact us at pva.org.
Local news, local people, Holloway in London, and the Wake Up Call.
I want you to get up now.
On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
We're all part of your community.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
So protect your every day.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW Eugene.
Fox News Radio, I'm Paul Stevens. Members of Donald Trump's camp on Capitol Hill today meeting with some Republican members of Congress. More on that live from Washington and Fox's Rachel Sutherland.
Paul, the Trump team came to Capitol Hill to drum support for the candidate and to do the delegate math. After meeting with Trump-friendly lawmakers, advisor Ed Brookover said the campaign feels confident Trump will win the 1,237 delegates needed to clinch the GOP nomination.
We have to work hard. We have to talk to the voters, but I think it's a path which has very few obstacles.
Trump has said the Republican National Committee's rules for allocating delegates is unfair. The campaign says today's meeting is the first in a series of planned gatherings with lawmakers in D.C. Paul.
Rachel, Donald Trump's